This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio with Stuart Cameron.
Hello and welcome to Rugby Radio. It's week 2 for our clubs in the Premiership and National 1. But below that, the other clubs in National 2, 3 and 4 get their campaigns underway today. But without further ado, let's head down to our featured commentary game. It's at Mansfield Park in Hawick in the Premiership. It's Hawick against Marr, and waiting for us there is David Ferguson. Good afternoon to you.
Sorry, but unfortunately you're stuck with Dale Clancy.
Oh no, I can't get rid of you, Dale. What are you doing?
David's socialising at the moment, so he's otherwise occupied with the Marr camp at the moment.
Right.
And, almost pulled a hamstring.
Well, you'll have to do then, won't you?
No, he's here with us just now.
Oh, you got him. All right. Excellent. There we are. Live radio. You just can't beat it. You can't beat it. So, David, are you there now?
Yes, sorry, it's Stuart.
Yes.
Not ready for you. I've had a good chat there with Ewen Bulger. Ewen Bulger, who's injured today, sadly. Ewen, so he's not able to play for Marr, but he's come up to have a quick chat about Marr's plans for this season. And Ewen, I mean, we've talked about it being a bit of a different season. People not quite knowing what to expect with the Super Series teams coming back in. What is the thinking at Marr as to what kind of challenge you face this season?
Yeah, we obviously understand there's a lot of challenges coming into it with a lot of those Super 6 teams dropping down, the level kind of raising because of that, but it doesn't really change much of our plans, to be honest. We're going to continue to play the way we've played. Obviously there's different considerations to make, but at the end of the day our structure and all our game plan kind of stays pretty similar to how it's always been in the past, you know. And
you come down to Hawick. Hawick was always a difficult place to come to, but Marr have quite enjoyed taking on Hawick in the last few seasons, so what do you expect today?
Again, kind of same old, like you say. We've enjoyed a few times down here. I remember being back down here in the Prem a few years ago when it was the original system, and we were quite lucky to walk away with a win that day. But yeah, same old Hawick, stalwart team, real tough to break down. We've obviously got a bit of a plan in place to try and get around that, but we'll see if that pays off. But yeah, same old Hawick, very tough in defence, really fluent in attack, lots of width to the game, and we'll go from there, see what happens.
We were just talking about Colin Sturgeon has become a real fixture at 10 for Marr. He's playing at 12 today. You've got a youngster, Callum Ingalls, coming through. You were telling me that he's been learning a bit from Colin, and he's getting his chance now to step in at 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like we spoke about, Callum spent a bit of time coming through the school system at Marr College, and then he stepped up to seniors kind of as an understudy to Colin for the past few years, you know, in that 10 position. And he's got that call up this year, you know. Colin, our Bickerstaff, dropping off, retiring unfortunately. Colin's managed to fill in that role, real good player, and Callum's now at that stage where he can step up into the 10 jersey and hopefully do a job for us this season.
And so both yourself and Hawick are not teams who played Super Series. There's some of these teams in this league who have, and you'll be looking out for them obviously.
Absolutely.
What do you think, do you still, I mean, you're saying there still take it the same way as you did before, so do you see yourselves and Hawick still competing for those top 4 places in the playoff? Yeah,
absolutely. All the guys that were kind of in that kind of top 4 from last year, I see us competing heavily, whether that is Marr or the rest of the guys like Kelso, Hawick, Curry, all that kind of stuff. I see us definitely competing. There obviously is, like I said, kind of challenges that are going to come with that, but I think everyone's got the kind of players and the coaches to counteract all the things that the Super 6 teams are bringing with it.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Ewan, and we wish you all the best today, and we're hoping we're going to see a nice open game in this wonderful sunny Mansfield. Do you think?
Hopefully the sun stays out and we don't get hit with some rain.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ewan. Thanks for joining us. Sorry you're injured, we'll be pleased to see you back playing soon. Thanks very much.
All the best.
There you go, Stuart. We're joined there from Marr, and hearing a bit of insight into Marr's thinking about this season to come. Come back to us and you'll join us, and we'll have full commentary later on when this game gets underway. We're only about 25 minutes away from kick-off.
We'll have a little chat with you a little bit later on, but you earlier of course spoke to Graham Hogg, so we'll bring that to you right now.
Graham, we're back here at a sunny Mansfield Park on a Saturday afternoon. No better place to be, of course. Tell me a bit about your team today and the challenge you're facing with Marr.
Yeah, no, David, it's great to be back at Mansfield after getting our campaign off and running last week in Edinburgh. We're looking forward to the challenge that Marr bring. Obviously we have not had our troubles to seek over the last week or so with more injuries in the back row, but that gives more opportunities and a little bit of shuffling around with a back row. Sam Frizzle Jay Linton and Fraser Rennick, who is obviously a hooker by trade, but plays like a back row, so we're really looking forward to seeing how he goes in the back row today.
Yeah, and you have had a number of hookers coming through. You've been blessed with a number of good hookers. We've seen a trend in Scottish rugby for moving back rows to the front row. But I bet a lot of these guys, like Fraser, probably quite like going back to the freedom of the back row, would they?
Well, he certainly had a smile on his face when he's not had to hit scrums in the front row this week, put it that way. But no, I think if you look at even this level of rugby, certainly in the professional level, 2, 6 and 7, basically hybrid, can play all positions. Even if you look a little bit further, some 12s could probably play in there just now as well. So no, Fraser's adaptable. He's played rugby in the back row for us plenty times before, albeit not maybe starting there, but no, he'll be good to go.
Yeah, well, that's Graham Hogg talking a little bit earlier on. He's the head coach now of Hawick. We're going to change from Mansfield Park and Hawick and go over to Selkirk at Philip Hawke, and waiting for us there, hopefully, is Robin, unless we get Dale Clancy popping up again, which we don't want.
Good afternoon, Stuart.
Oh, thank goodness for that. Sunny in Hawick, sunny in Selkirk.
Absolutely glorious in Selkirk. Warm, sun is shining, not a breath of wind. Could not ask for better conditions for an afternoon's rugby.
Let's start today with a bit of a look back to last weekend and the results which saw wins for obviously Ayr, Edinburgh Accies, Kelso Herrits and Glasgow Hawks, Marr as well. What were your takeaways from the first day of the season?
Much of it, I think, went by went with probably what the bookies would suggest. The Kelso game was probably the tightest one to call, and they came out obviously on the right side of that. So yeah, I think it pretty much went as I would have expected it to do. There was a mouth-watering tie down at Millbrae. Of course, Ayr v Curry. It was the kind of showpiece game, and Ayr came out on the right side of that, and they'll be looking to do the same again today. So yeah, pretty much as I expected, Stuart.
And you mentioned that Ayr game against Curry, 34-17 in the end. Curry certainly put in a good effort there without any question. And of course, they've recruited well as well, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they've been beneficiaries of the wrapping up of Super Series rugby. They've brought a few in, and they were strong anyway. Let's face it, they're the current champions. So yeah, I think Curry have been one of the beneficiaries. I think today's opponents here at Selkirk, Glasgow Hawks, are maybe expected to see more coming in from Super Series there, and Edinburgh Accies as well, but obviously that's not been the case. So we've spoken before about maybe being a season of haves and have-nots. So yeah, Curry look to be in a pretty good place in general at the moment, and they've got the toughest assignment of the season already out the way.
Great win, of course, for Kelso, winning against Watsonians, a team that were obviously in the Super 6 last time. I mean, they'll be absolutely thrilled with that 5 points.
Oh, most definitely, and what a way to start the season. There's so much talk about how it's how it's going to land, if you like, with these Super Series clubs coming back in, and there's a victory already for a Prem club against what was a Super Series club, and that being Kelso, of course. And I think a few people weren't that surprised, but of course it could have went the other way as well. There's some big names in that Watsonians team, but yeah, I think it's more, it's no slur on Watsonians what happened last weekend. I think it's just more of a kind of example of where Kelso are at the moment. They just seem to be a club in a really good place, as we've said before. They've got, they're missing a couple today, maybe missing 2 or 3, but their squad doesn't look that much weaker for it, given the guys that they can come in, and that's testament to the strength of the overall squad.
And moving to National 1, Stirling County, the team everyone's tipping, it would seem, to win, the Super 6 champions, who've retained plenty of their players. They beat Peebles. It's interesting, it was 46-6, and then all of a sudden I noticed on the SRU website that's changed to 51-6. I went back to Peebles and they said no, it's definitely 46-6, so they can battle that one out. I mean, 5 points in this league could actually be very crucial come the end of the season.
You've taken the words right out of my mouth. It certainly could be for Peebles. Points difference, 3 out of 10 going down. It was a couple of seasons ago. There was 5 in the restructure. There was 5 out of the league, and we thought that was brutal. And it's going to be brutal again this season in National 1 with 3 out of 10. But yeah, I think the 5 points potentially could mean more from a points different perspective come the end of the season to Peebles than they will with the will to Stirling, who probably could win this league quite comfortably, I would suggest.
Other wins, of course, in National 1 came from GHA, Biggar, Gala and Glasgow Accies as well, and certainly from a local perspective, we know we're a national radio station, but talking about Gala, the only team to win in National 1, Jed-Forest missing out at Biggar, and Jed-Forest be kicking themselves. They were well ahead.
Yeah, they were 28 points to 12 at half time, and they never scored a point in the second half. But as I said in the preview show, it's a bit of a strange one for Jed, because you're right, they will be absolutely kicking. Any team would be kicking themselves from squandering that lead at half time. But in saying that, if you'd offered them 2 points, if you offer most clubs 2 points at bigger, then a lot of, pre-game, a lot of them will take your hand off. So it's one of those for Jed. If they can rack up 4 or 5 points today, plus 2 from away to bigger last week, that represents a pretty good start to the season for me.
So it's Selkirk against Glasgow Hawks down at Philip Hawk today. What's your own kind of take on this one? Because obviously Glasgow Hawks flying last week, a good win for them at home against Musselburgh. Selkirk, where we've been looking at their home form over the past couple of seasons, it's not been fantastic, been terrific on the road, but not so great at home. That's something that they're going to have to address today.
Oh, definitely. If they're going to, let's be honest, they finished 9th in the Prem last season, so if they're going to stay in this division against stronger opposition this year, then they're going to have to turn this place into a wee bit of a fortress, or at least pick up bonus points if they don't pick up the W's. Today, it's a really tough one to call, and of course it's ridiculous to start talking about must-win games at this point of the season, but we've spoken so often in the last few weeks about clubs targeting games because of the nature of the league this season, and I'd be astonished if both these clubs were not targeting this game today, and probably targeting 5 points as well. I think if you're going to stay in this division this season, if you're a Hawks, if you're a Musselburgh, if you're a Selkirk, possibly a Melrose, maybe an Edinburgh as the season wears on, these are the games you need to win.
It was quite funny actually, because when we were recording the Friday rugby preview the other day, we were looking at National 1 in particular, and we're saying, oh, they'll be safe and they'll be safe and they'll be safe, and then we got to the 5 that are probably going to be away from the relegation zone, and we'd kind of missed out another 2 or 3 which we would also put in the top 5, real wide open.
Oh, it is National 1, the Premiership as well, you're right, that almost sort of took us aback a wee bit when we started to reel off who would be safe and who wouldn't. But I think looking at the Premiership today, for me obviously, Ayr, Heriots, you don't imagine Watsonians will get in too much difficulty. Curry certainly won't, probably Hawick won't, but everybody else other than those, they wouldn't want to go on a 5 or 6 game losing streak, put it that way.
Well, you've been talking to both head coaches earlier on. That's Andy Hill from Glasgow Hawks and also Sesh Henderson. So we're going to hear those interviews now. We'll join you later.
So Sesh, you opened up with a defeat away from home last week at what is a tough place to go. But this looks like a good opportunity to get back up and running for the season today.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we were disappointed last year, but not too despondent. We kind of wondered how the scoreline got to 40 points to 10. It seems like they were kind of in control, but we had control of the game a fair amount. We just never took our chances. So we've addressed a few issues this week that didn't go quite to plan last week, and we've got Josh Welsh back this week, which makes a difference. An experienced back three player for us, and look, it's the perfect day for us. With sun's on the back, no wind, and hopefully if we can release our back line, we've got to cause them some damage.
And has the build-up and planning and goal setting been any different this year in the sort of post-Super Series world?
I think yes, in a lot of ways I think the boys are certainly more focused on their analysis, and we've been pretty honest this week, and I think that's a good thing within a squad, to be honest about and appraising yourself, and that comes together as a unit and team, and we know we weren't who we should have been last week, so this week they're just buzzing to get out there and just address it. Our goal is this year to be competitive in every game, and we know we're going to play against hard teams. We know we're going to be up against it, but the boys are keen to go out there and make a good job of themselves, and compete in every game. If you compete in every game, then we'll be in the game the last 20 minutes. And I've said to the boys last week and this week, if we compete, go out and get it, go and chase it, get to the last 20 minutes, then what will be will be.
And looking at the squad today, Sesh, would it be fair to say that other than maybe Cottrell being out, this to me looks like as strong a Selkirk matchday squad as there's been for a while?
Aye, it's quite strong, and Cotty just pulled out on Thursday night. His hamstring's just not quite right. Hopefully next week, because he's important to us. He's a game breaker. But when you've got Aaron, Nixon, Sutty, you've got Ben Pickles, Josh Wells, Callum Anderson in that back line, we will get a platform. Our line that's running really well just now. Scrum's solid, it gives us a platform. So in these conditions we want to play a bit of rugby today and push him about the pace.
And there's a new name in the starting 15 today, that being Dylan Bronland. Now, from the YouTube highlight reel, he looks a very exciting prospect, so tell us a bit about him.
Yeah, he's just come over and just he heaped up at the club, and look, he's just been a big part of the training the last couple of weeks. He's really enjoying himself. He's played a bit of rugby in New Zealand and in Australia in the Shoot Shield, so Look, he's just come up 20-year-old now, but he's quite explosive in training, and he came on in the second half, and he showed what he's got, and we're excited to see what he's like from the start today.
And lastly, a player you mentioned just then, a word for Ben Pickles. It's great to see him back in the field this season.
I mean, that's 15 minutes out from his broken leg, and he's just buzzing to get going. Perhaps maybe not even the wings is his best position, and it's usually, I think it's maybe at 13, but right now, even last week, even though he cramped up the last 10-15 minutes, but he's training really hard, and he'll make an impact today.
Well, Sesh, as always, thanks very much for your time. All the best today and for the rest of the season. Cheers.
Thank you.
So, Andy, a great 5-point win last weekend at home to Musselburgh. I would imagine you boys have made the trip down here today in pretty good fettle.
Yeah, with a lot of things still to work on. We felt in Musselburgh we kind of left a lot of scores out there. We felt when we kind of reviewed the tape, and we had 19 entries into their what we call gold zone, into their 22, and only managed to convert a few of them. So it's been an area we're kind of focused on this week to try and score a few more tries, because we know we'll need to be a wee bit more clinical than that when we come up against some better opposition. So it's going to be really important that obviously we focus on that. But yep, confidence is obviously a good one. There's been a good buzz round about the club. New sponsor that's going to be there for 3 years, and like Scott Steele coming in, a couple of other players that have come in back in the next couple of weeks as well. So it's been really positive, and really looking forward to the season.
And we always wait to see the offside line ins and outs article at the start of the season, and it always seems to be the same story. And I know I've spoken to you about this before, in terms of turnover of players at Hawks. So is that something that just comes with the territory for you guys these days?
Yeah, it's really difficult, because a lot of the players, obviously with us not having a youth section, a lot of the players actually generally come when they're travelling down for university, or they've moved through for work, and things like that. So it brings its own challenges with it, because obviously a lot of the guys around about Glasgow have got an affinity to that club, and some of them get to a certain stage where if they're maybe in round about the academy setup, they'll look to try and leave and come to the likes of ourselves, or if they end up that they're not in that, quite often they'll just stay and they'll be quite happy at the club that they're at, and so it makes recruiting really difficult. So a lot of the guys that come down are obviously students who inevitably will be here for 3, 4, 5 years, depending on what sort of degree they're doing, and then I'll leave. So this year we actually probably kept more of what would be classed as guys that probably played most of the first 15 games last year. We kept a good number of them. We obviously lost a couple of guys, and we'd hoped to get a couple more back that from the Super 6 lot, but that's just never transpired. So we're at where we're at, and it's even back in my playing day, there was always you used to look at 2 or 3 guys that would come in at the likes of Selkirk each year, and you'd look at ours at the ins and outs, and it was an A4 sheet of paper. So it's just one of those things. I think we just need to manage it.
And how does it impact on pre-season and preparation for these early games?
It's always really difficult, because you're always struggling to get guys down, and you're waiting guys arriving, and you're trying to help guys, like Ben Morris in our squad today. He's obviously the financial situations where he's not going to come down and from Aberdeen, he's not going to go away up there and stay down in Glasgow for the entire time, so he's got to go up home and try and come down for training like once a week sometimes, so he keeps himself fit, gets himself in the picture, and obviously does some training up the road. So we've got loads of guys in that same sort of position, so it does make things difficult in terms of continuity getting guys in, but also as challenges in terms of you're constantly implementing the same things, whereas if you go to like Selkirk here, they might not have as much kind of ins and outs. You can have your system, and every kind of 1 or 2 guys maybe come in, and other players will coach that, whereas quite often we're coaching the masses to try and make sure they know what we're running in terms of our system and the calls and all these sort of things, line outs, and it can be really challenging, particularly as I say for those young guys that maybe have come out of programmes that haven't been in an academy, and they've moved down, or they've not been in a structured a 20s or anything like that, or a team that's maybe been in the Premiership. So it makes things very difficult at times.
And as I seem to be asking all of the kind of non-Super Series clubs, if you like, at the moment, are you guys targeting specific games just now? And if so, then I'd imagine today's one that would be exactly the type of one you'd target.
It's probably just the old cliche, you need to focus on one game at a time. If you look too far in front, we know we'll end up getting caught. I've learned that over the last 5 years of doing this, that you can't take anybody lightly in this team. It just takes one game where a team can turn up, or you make your own mistakes. Us coming down here last year, we're well aware of the threat that Selkirk posed, and we lost it in the last play of the game, and with a game we felt as if we should have blown out the water. They will always stay in the fight, and that's a real trait of the Borders clubs. They'll never back down. They're always there, kind of banging on the door. So we're just focusing on trying to win this game, like we focused on Musselburgh last week, to try and come away with 4 or 5 points. And if we can do that, building momentum in this league is absolutely massive. Since I've been here, I don't think we've won past 3 games on the trot. And so if we win this weekend, we get the chance to maybe equal that, and then we go into the weeks after, and we go from there.
And as mentioned, some new faces in the starting 15. Who should the fans be keeping an eye on?
Well, obviously the one that everybody will be excited about is Scott Steele off the bench. You know, Scott's not trained loads in terms of the last couple of weeks, and he's trying to manage himself as a hit. But as I kind of said from the outset on the offside line, Ben Morris had mentioned that, earlier, he's looked real live wire. I'm really excited about him. I'm really hopeful that the likes of the 20s are having a look at him, because he's come down, bigger, faster, stronger. He'll do real damage. Levi Rowetty in at 12 has come over from New Zealand because he's got a British passport and looked to try and make it after not being part of the Taranaki squad because he was injured. So he's looking to try and maybe see what he can do there at 12 to try and get himself in the picture of the pro coaches and things like that. So there's a few players within that, but we've got guys there as well that that have been club men like Liam Brims that again, he controls a lot of things for us, and a good goal kicker. So there's a lot of exciting guys there that we are looking forward to seeing over the next few weeks.
And lastly, for all the new faces that come in, when I personally look at Hawke's team sheet, the first thing I wonder is Paul Cairncross playing? Now, for me, he and Fraser Rennick have stood alone in recent seasons as the league's 2 top hookers. So just how important a player is he for Glasgow Hawks?
You realise how important he is, even when I've always known that in terms of what he brings, but when you've got Adam Ash who comes in and says he's got a lot of the stuff that would take to be a pro rugby player. Gary Strain, who's played pro rugby as well, who coached here for years and scrummed alongside Paul, he says you'll not find really many better scrummaging hookers. He's talking about Georgians that he's played for over in France, that the only other guys that kind of rival that. Adam, as he said to us, is that he struggled over in America coaching with not having a hooker that could throw in. There's no many better hookers and that can throw the ball like Paul Cairncross and, as you say, Fraser Rennick. I think the two of them have kind of been standouts over the last wee while, so it's good to see him now playing at this top level to go away and really push on, because he was a guy that missed out in the 20s and probably became a bit disenchanted with rugby, and we managed to keep about, and over the last few years he just kind of started to enjoy rugby and kind of got himself into a picture where maybe just if people have a look at him and get him in the right environment, it might be something that can kick on from there.
Well, Andy, thanks very much for your time. As always, good luck today and for the season as a whole. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Andy Hill talking to Robin Purdie, and before that, Sesh Henderson as well. That's the Selkirk game against Glasgow Hawks, which should be a very interesting one to keep an eye on today, and we'll be keeping an eye on that one and all the other matches across the Premiership, National 1 and National 2 as well. So you don't need to go anywhere else. Now, Hawick v Marr, that is happening at Mansfield Park. Let's return to David Ferguson.
Finding out about these teams, looking forward to a game this afternoon here in, obviously we've said already, a sunny Mansfield Park. We've got two teams, Hawick, who came off the back of last week's game at Edinburgh Accies, losing that only by 6 points, 28-22, close game, but obviously they need to get their campaign going. And Marr, who we know hosted Selkirk last week and beat them 40 points to 10, so they showed that they certainly have still the quality that we've come to expect the last year or two. Alongside me today, of course, we have our man from Peebles. Do I still say Peebles, Dale? Dale Clancy will be doing our commentary today. And Dale, you've seen both of these teams quite a bit in the last couple of seasons too. Do you expect there to be fireworks this afternoon, or do you expect them just to be a big forward tussle?
I think it's going to be quite pragmatic between these two sides. It's going to be pretty heavy hitting up front. I think looking at the squad, you can see that in abundance there's loads of front row players in the Marr side. I think they want to really put the squeeze on up front and try and test Hawick in the backs. But I'm really excited to see the likes of Logan Henry in the number 9 jersey for Hawick. It's probably been an area that's been a little bit of a weakness for Hawick, you would say, over the last few seasons. But it's early in the year. It's a completely different landscape in club rugby now. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams fare this afternoon. But I think Marr will enter this game with their tails up.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We're watching them out in the park there. Hawick forward still in the park, going through an awful lot of pre-match ritual, pre-match warm-up, a lot of it at pace as well. And it's a hot day here, Stuart, this afternoon. I was just out there running to the car to pick up something else, and in the sunshine, you do feel it. So we've watched Marr going through it. They're moving the ball very slickly, and it'll be interesting to see where they've got their usual standoff. Colin Sturgeon now playing centre, inside centre, instead of Connor Bickerstaff. So they've got two good attacking players there, Callum Ingles at 10 and then Colin Sturgeon. That'll be interesting to see if that makes them a bit wider, moving the ball wider against Hawick. So we'll look forward to that anyway, but we'll hand you back and catch up from the other ground before we have you back here at Mansfield Park, 3 o'clock.
Right, let's go to Marside. Watsonians against Ayr. A lot of people watching this one, including Hugh Brown.
This is a highly anticipated clash between two teams which both had Super 6 sides until the demise of the series. Ayr start as hot favourites, having retained most of their Ayrshire Bulls Super 6 players, and their head coach Grant Anderson aims to win the Premiership just as he did when Ayr lifted the National League One trophy last season by a country mile. In last week's opener they posted their intentions with a 34-17 win over Premiership champions Curry. But the home side will be no pushovers. They have a new head coach, Davy Wilson, who brings with him a wealth of experience, having coached teams across the country, including Boroughmuir Bears and Biggar. The Marrside men will be anxious to make amends for their opening defeat to Kelso last Saturday. Team news now, and for Ayr, Jamie Bova, Glasgow Senior Academy player Matthew Irwin, Oscar Baird and Tim Brown all get starts, with Gregor Lang and Danny McCluskey added to the bench. For Watsonians, several additions from last week, including Murray Scott, Tom Gracie and Freddie Owsley, who are selected for their first starts in the league campaign. Ali Davidson moves into midfield, having started on the bench at Kelso, while returning to the squad as substitutes are Andrew McInnes and Harry Fisher. Here at Marrside, it's a cloudy afternoon for Watsonians against Ayr.
Yeah, mouth-watering stuff at Marrside. Of course, Curry will be playing Melrose in the Premiership, Hawick against Marr, Heriots v Edinburgh Accies, Musselburgh against Kelso, Selkirk v Glasgow Hawks, and that one down at Marrside, or up at Marrside, Watsonians versus Ayr. In National 1, it's Dundee against Biggar, GHA v Gala, Highland against Stirling County, Jed-Forest versus Boroughmuir, and Peebles against Glasgow Accies. And of course, because there's 9 teams in National 2, there's only 4 games. So Falkirk versus Berwick, Lasswade against Newton Stewart, Preston Lodge against Gordonians, and Stumel against GHK. That is your tasty menu for today.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whisky making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
With over 30 years' experience in print and embroidery, BE Uniforms are one of Scotland's leading rugby teamwear specialists. We currently supply many great clubs across Scotland and the north of England, offering brands such as Adidas, Macron, Canterbury and BE Sport. We have a specialist teamwear team who collectively have over 60 years' experience in the trade, delivering quality teamwear and finding solutions to the challenges out there. If your club is looking for a new supplier and would like to know more, get all the details at beuniforms.co.uk. Proud sponsors of Rugby Radio and Borders Rugby TV. BE Uniforms, your identity is our purpose.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Yes, it is. Here every Saturday for you from 2:30 until 5:30. Yes, from now on we go on until 5:30 to bring you an extra half hour of interviews, reports from across Scotland. But let's go to Mansfield Park for commentary of Hawick versus Marr. Join our team down there, David Ferguson, and first, Dale Clancy.
Yes, good afternoon and welcome to a sun-kissed Mansfield Park, where the visitors have just made their way onto the pitch, and two of the shining lights in club rugby over the last few years are adjusting to a new glare in the Premiership with the introduction of the Super 6 series teams back into the amateur game. And both sides now onto the pitch, and I do believe there is going to be a minute's silence before the game as Marr line up in their purple tops on the 15-metre line, and Hawick have just made their way out onto the field to line up as well. A well-known Hawick player is going to get a minute's silence as the spectators rise to their feet in the stands and all round the ground to mark their respects. Hawick at Mansfield Park paying the respects for Craig Rogerson, ex-cornet in the town. He'll be missed by many, including myself, a close friend of mine from the time we spent together at Borders College. Sad news on Thursday night into Friday morning. And an excellently observed minute silence there from Mansfield Park. He'll certainly be missed. And Hawick now make their way to the centre of the pitch. And Kirk Ford bounces the ball on the ground, ready to get this clash underway. Fergus Hollins is going to be your match official, and we'll bring you the team news as soon as we get an opportunity. The ball hoisted into the air. Kirk Ford with 10 on his back on this occasion. He kicks it high to contest, and it's scrappy. It's been knocked on, and it's going to be a put into the scrum to Marr to get this game underway. This first break gives us a chance to run through the two teams. Charlie Welsh will start at fullback for Hawick with Morgan Tate and Ronan McKean on the wings. Birthday boy Lee Armstrong, 35 years old today, is at inside centre with Andrew Mitchell outside him. Logan Henry and Kirk Ford are the half-back pairing with Sean Muir captaining from Loosehead. Russell Anderson and Nicky Little make up the front row. Matt Atkinson and Hughie Donaldson are the second row pairing with Sam Frizzle, Fraser Rennick and Jay Linton making up the back row. Grant Baird, the captain for Marr, is ready to roll the ball into the scrum. He's partnered by Callum Ingalls at half-back. Jacobson and Bickerstaff on the wings. Sturgeon, the instrumental character, at 12. With Scott McDonald at outside centre. Jack Scott is going to be wearing the number 15. Big carry there from Alex Apthorpe in number 8 for Marr. Callum Steele and McCulloch make up the back row with Andrew Young also in there as well at the second row, and Roger, Sweet and Miller make up the front row as Hawick put a bit of pressure on in open play, able to charge down the ball and squeeze the penalty on the 22 metre line, and it's been a good reaction. An unforced error earlier on, David, with the knock on, but good pressure off the back of that scrum to squeeze this penalty.
Yeah, you could see that. You could see Hawick were all over them in 22 there, looking to make sure that, we talk about defence, but offensive defence, that defence was right in the Marr faces right from the start. They were trying to get out their 22. Kirk Ford, he's a tall lad, Kirk Ford. You've got to be able to kick it high to put it over the top of him. He's, we're used to him playing at full back here at Hawick, but now at standoff, an influential character, and he just had his arms up very high, made sure that kick was going nowhere out of the 22, and Hawick pounced on it very quickly, so a penalty to Hawick.
The first chance, 2 minutes have gone here at Mansfield Park in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership, and Kirk Ford is lining up a pop at the post, right-footed kick just inside the 22, and well, if you've listened to the coverage of Kirk Ford over the last few years, you know the outcome, and it's Hawick 3, Marr 0, and that's the type of start that Hawick would need, because Marr coming into this game with a lot of confidence after sweeping aside the suitors last week.
Yeah, I do feel, Dale, today that taking points, taking chances inside the 22 are going to be vital, and Hawick have certainly laid out their stall very early with a good early penalty.
Ingalls, the Marr fly half, gets play back underway. It's a scruffy restart, and it's also went out in the full. It's a player who's perhaps had a lot of spotlight on him in the last few weeks, with obviously the changes with Connor Bickerstaff departing and Colin Sturgeon moving probably a little bit more regularly in field. It's a chance for Callum Ingalls to kind of take the lead in that fly half position, and that probably won't do his confidence the world of good, especially at Mansfield Park.
Actually, Dale, that was Colin Sturgeon that took that restart. I was just watching, he's just rubbing his head, rubbing his hair, and feeling that the experienced man steps up and lets him down there. So yeah, I think we're going to see a bit of switching between that 10 and 12 possibly.
Yeah, I did think Ingalls was at the centre spot.
Yeah.
Sturgeon's a little bit further out on the left hand side now, so we'll keep an eye on who is taking the restarts, but certainly It did look like Ingles, and it's been swept up at the back of that scrum there from Logan Henry. He's been carried all the way back and then fumbles the ball, and it's gone loose, and now Marr on the attack, but swept up there by Logan Henry yet again, deep inside his own 22. Now the Marr pressure and the Marr squeeze coming on. You just heard David Ferguson speaking about an offensive defence, and that's exactly what Marr are doing here to the hosts. A big carry from Russell Anderson there, and Henry then gets the ball to Sean Muir, going back against the grain towards the stand side inside of the Hawick 22. It's lined up for a box kick downfield, but the referee signalling that tackle just went a little bit too high, just above the sternum, and it does give a chance for Hawick to relieve the pressure probably a little bit easier than they perhaps thought.
Yeah, messy. At the start of the game, I suppose we expect that, and messy. Boys are not holding the ball. We thought a lovely sunny day, it's a great day for running rugby, but you've got to get hold of that ball, and both teams are really over the top of the ball at every opportunity, making it difficult.
The little reshuffle at the halfback as well. Henry looks like a good player. He's had Super Rugby experience with the Hurricanes, but Kirk Ford, he's been reliable at fullback, but it'll be interesting to see how his impact in the fly half position will rub off on the players outside him. Mitchell and Armstrong in particular, two experienced and vital players in this Hawick machine, as the line out is not accurate this time from the host, so it's went back into Marr's hands on the halfway line, but interlinking play. Sturgeon is able to distribute the ball, and then working hard off of the wing there as Jacobson coming back in field, distributed again into the hands of Sturgeon, who's still acting as that pivotal playmaker at first receiver. A chance for the forwards to carry now, and Alex Apthorpe yet again with the ball in hand, looking to try and make some damage on this Hawick defence. Hugging the touchline now is Jacobson again, looking to try and get some space to exploit. Morgan Tate, who's been reinstated to the starting lineup, does well to deal with his opposite number, and another flat pass in the face of the Hawick defence is teasing these green shirts forward, but they're making some good tackles on the Marr attack as Welsh has to sweep up in behind. He's looking to go it with ball in hand as well. He's been able to escape the clutches of Callum Steele, but ran into a bit of trouble from Marr as they hunt in a pack. Sturgeon, the experienced head as ever, is in there just to squeeze and suffocate the ball, and it's a penalty to Marr, and it looks like they're going to have their own pop at the sticks to try and draw things level.
Yeah, it looks like it. Charlie Welsh, Hawick fullback there, trying his best to run that out, but you can just see Sean Muir, the captain, having words with some of the players there about how slow I think Hawick were to get back and get in behind Charlie Welsh. That wasn't Charlie Welsh's fault. He didn't have a lot on. He's picking up the ball with his back to the Marr players. He turns and tries to keep it alive. He made a couple of jinking runs, but his own players were not quick enough to provide that support, which allowed Marr to get over the ball and win the penalty.
It was a clever kick in behind because Charlie Welsh, a right-footed kicker, he couldn't adjust his body in time, so he's got a pace to burn, and thought he could perhaps exploit some of the gaps in defence. It's led to a penalty attempt. Sturgeon, another glance at the uprights and a slow, steady run-up, a right-footed strike of the ball, and it looks like it's going to glance to the left-hand side of the uprights. Morgan Tate has got ball in hand, and he's going to go from his own area. He's got some support outside, and it is a good bit of vision there. Lee Armstrong now, he kicks downfield over the halfway line, the ball bouncing in the Marr 22. They're chasing back in all desperation. Ingles is there, now looking to try and dish out a bit of Hawick's own medicine on themselves as he tried to escape the pressure that was coming on from the green wall, which was approaching. But Marr secure the ball inside their own territory. Great play from Morgan Tate. Kick downfield from the captain, Grant Baird, and he's found touch from an acute angle. It's a great exit there from the scrum half. But just when it could have been all square, all of a sudden, Hawick are looking like they want... We talk about their one of their strengths being in the forwards, but Morgan Tate, Armstrong and Welsh, they're all trying to link up and get in on the action. Their backs they can certainly do a job as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and it's great to see, running. Everybody standing watching that penalty going across the post and thinking, okay, that's it, game over, he's missed the penalty. But actually, Hawick run it from there, and now, they're attacking they've got the ball with Marr, but it's on the halfway line. So great defence from Hawick, certainly. Bickerstaff
with his ball tucked firmly underneath his right arm and trying to use his electric footwork to dislodge the defence, but dealt well with. The second wave comes through, and Ingles tries to fire a flat pass into the direction of an on-rushing Cameron Young, but as soon as the ball left his hands, he perhaps didn't get the trajectory that he was looking for, and it has been a bit of a shaky start for Ingles at the fly half position for Marr.
That's not a pass that any forward wants to receive, is it, Dale? Pull it past below his knees and trying to grab. He's a big lad, second row Cameron Young. I wondered whether he could get it. It looked like he might have got it, but no. That's whenever I played standoff, the stick I would get from my forward for sending a pass like that out. I think it's interesting because Callum Ingles, we've talked about him. He's having to settle into this game. He's made a couple of mistakes already, and Hawick will want to keep the pressure on him.
Played a lot at Premiership level as well. He's not a young buck by any stretch of the imagination, but Armstrong, who's able just to invite and tease the Marr defence onto him from the scrum. He almost released Andrew Mitchell, but then Jay Linton charging round the corner. Marr will be well aware of his threat with the ball in hand. Muir tipping on to Russell Anderson, who carries forward a couple of hard-earned yards. Centre field just outside of the 22. Armstrong acting as first receiver, throws the dummy back in field as Welsh waiting. He's been dealt with and hauled down to the ground, so the Hawick wave of attack comes round the corner yet again with Sean Muir with the ball tucked firmly in his possession. Forward, flat pass into the on-rushing Matt Atkinson, an incomer this season at Mansfield Park. Another one there. Logan Henry fires the ball away, and there's a little bit of afters as well. In the purple and yellow shirts of Marr filter in. Jay Linton, one of the players who was involved in the initial stages. There's a player still lying prone on the ground. I think that's Ronan McKean who's still on the ground. Dispersed quickly. You did say there was going to be fireworks. Didn't think it'd be this early.
No, and it looks to me like a forward on a back there. That was number 8, Jay Linton, and the Marr, who we've talked a lot about, Marr centre Colin Sturgeon, who were the two that were on the ground, and Jay Linton pinning him on the ground and was not letting him up with the ball long away. But as I say, that's Hawick perhaps trying to show who's boss, trying to make sure they're getting the winning the battles all over the pitch at the moment, and that's what they have to do, isn't it? They're going to have to show Marr that they're going to have to work extremely hard to win points today, because we know that Marr are capable of scoring tries.
Went on a long unbeaten run after a defeat many years ago against Glasgow Hawks. It came to a halt in the Premiership final, a defeat to Curry, in which was an excellent showpiece occasion here at Mansfield Park. Hawick don't often roll over and have their bellies tickled at home, and certainly showing there they're up for this confrontational battle, especially in the forwards up front. There's some big hitters. Craig Miller, who's arrived from Watsonians this year in the front row, makes up a formidable front row with Sweet and Rogers. But on the other side you've got Muir Anderson and Nicky Little, so there's certainly a lot of firepower up front in the forwards. And the end result of that little set two between the two sides is another penalty to Hawick. This one is centre field. Kirk Ford has just received the tee, gets it in position. He's just outside the 22 in what was a glorious day here at Mansfield Park. And great to see the spectators basking in the sun on the bank inside, just adjacent to the commentary position. Some of us taking some shade, but certainly a decent crowd here to take in what is one of the big games of this weekend. Kirk Ford, right-footed strike, slowly stoops down to collect the tee, and it's the same result yet again. It's another successful penalty attempt, and with 13 minutes gone here at Mansfield Park, it's Hawick who lead. It's Hawick 6, Marr 0.
OK, elsewhere, Curry against Melrose. Curry went in the lead, a Ryan Daly try, but that's been reversed now. Melrose have gone in for a converted try, so Melrose winning at Millennium Park 7 points to 5. Still early doors. It's 6-0 obviously to Hawick, as we've just been hearing. A couple of Kirk Ford penalties. Musselburgh 0, Kelso 7 is the latest score, and Jed-Forest 7 now. Gregor Young scoring a try, Boroughmuir 7, and one other latest score at the moment, National 2, is Falkirk 7, a Gregor Ramsey try, Berwick 0. Let's go to Philip Hogg and join Robin Purdie. I think you've had some scores on the doors as well.
There's been one penalty, Stuart. It's 3-0 currently to Selkirk, but it's been all Selkirk thus far. We're 10 minutes in, and they've had opportunities, Selkirk, but there has been some resolute Hawks defence as well. there's been scrum parity as well in the scrums that we've had as well. So yeah, shaping up to be a good game so far. Stuart, Selkirk certainly up for this after defeat last week. It's currently Selkirk 3, Glasgow Hawks 0.
So we'll go from Philiphaugh and return immediately to Mansfield Park and back with David and Dale.
Yes, back here, and it's another long lengthy restart from Callum Ingalls. It's went out in the full, so it's going to be another scrum, and compounding errors at the moment are Marr. They've conceded a couple of penalties, and the end result has been 2 penalties from the boot of Kirkford, 6 points to 0 after 14 minutes, and on both occasions it's ended up in a scrum put in on the halfway line to the hosts. Stooping down, ready to roll the ball in is Logan Henry, but the referee is signalling that there's going to be a free kick there, so taking quickly forward, rifles the ball across to Mitchell, who's just got on the outside. Ronan McKean, the man for the big occasion, is going to stride in for a score in the corner at Mansfield Park, much to the jubilation of the spectators that are filling the stand here. And I said Marr were compounding errors, and straight from that scrum the free kick was awarded. That delightful ball from Kirkford just allowed Andrew Mitchell a little bit of space on the outside, and Ronan McKean had the pace to go in the corner. And what a start here from Hawick at 15 minutes in now, and it's 11 points to 0.
Yeah, and they really have dominated, in the game from the beginning. They're two, pretty well matched sides, Marr and Hawick. We saw that last season. They can really challenge each other, and they could score tries against each other. But Hawick have really taken a grip of all the little scrappy bits so far in this game. The set piece, they've made it difficult for Marr. When the two, as you say, Marr compounding errors themselves, costing themselves points really, with a couple of penalties they've given away in the 22. They've put the ball straight out twice from restarts, and that scrum, a good scrum there from Hawick, but it was a mistake by Marr. It gives them a penalty, and Hawick are looking to run everything at the moment.
Looking to try and keep the ball in hand, and would you believe it, Kirkford's missed a conversion, a slightly more difficult attempt there. It was closer towards the stand, just in between the 15 and the 5 on the 22 metre line, but he's just grazed it to the left hand side of the upright, so it remains 11 points to 0 to Hawick. And I think based on last week's results that came in, we thought this was going to be keenly contested in the opening stages, but Marr was slightly shell shocked from the reaction from this Hawick side. That one's on the money this time from Ingalls as he strikes it downfield. It's been gathered well by Tate. Ball filtered back in field for Jay Linton to stretch his legs and confront the Marr defence. Henry just sizes up a box kick downfield. It's been watched all the way by Baird. Actually, it was Jack Scott who was in behind this time. He's broke free from the first couple of challenges. Almost they got round the third as well as he rifles it downfield. It's just ricocheted off the chest of Logan Henry, who looks to go quick, but this will be a throw into the line out to Marr. But good play from Hawick, being able just to get their exit strategy right, but that's probably more like the Marr we're used to seeing, a little bit more exciting with the ball in hand. Yeah,
they are. I mean, they've got some really dangerous runners right across that back line. You can see that. Scott Bickerstaff, we know about. Jake Jacobson on the other wing, is looking like he's quite dangerous. Jack Scott coming in from fullback. So, yeah, Hawick have to make sure they're on alert every time.
Stretched a little bit wider, the ball's gone loose there as Scott McDonald had tried to gather what was it looked like a pretty good pass, but I think his run was perhaps just a little bit flat. Yeah. Andrew Mitchell looked to try and capitalise on that.
I was just going to say the impact of Andrew Mitchell in that try, that Hawick just scored a few minutes ago for Ronan McKean. He gives everything in defence and attack, Andrew Mitchell, so players have got to watch him. He brought players to him like honeys to bees when he attacked cross deep into coming into the Marr half, and that was what created the space for Ronan McKean outside him to be able to have almost a clear run in down the touchline. And again there, in defence, when he's running at you and you're waiting for that ball and the ball's a bit high, you can understand why a player might take his eye off the ball.
Yeah, good all round Andrew Mitchell. I'm a big fan of his, big top try scorer in the Premiership last year, but he's a player who tried the semi-professional ranks. Wasn't for him, but what was that level of rugby's loss has certainly been Hawick's game, and he's really developed into a key member of this Hawick squad. The ball looking to try and filter wide. Morgan Tate has been able to get in the road. He's been omnipresent in everything here, which has been good about Hawick so far. The charge down from the box kick there, and Logan Henry having to get back quickly, scamper back in towards his own half to get that loose ball as Marr try and make this a football match. It's been dribbled downfield there by David Andrew, and Marr benefit from that loose play. It's now in the hands of Sturgeon, quickly across, another knock-on coming in there. The referee is almost going to let that one play as Ingles distributes a little bit wider, but the referee, Fergus Hollins, signalling that the ball has been knocked on, and at times the game is getting a little bit scrappy, and that's perhaps when Marr are at their most dangerous, because they certainly look like they've got pace in backs and forwards.
Yeah, they do. You can see that, and they're coming into the 22. There's a couple of times there that was Hawick ball. Hawick had the ball, and ball's going to deck, and Marr were on it very quickly and kicking through, and ended up going from the halfway line into the Hawick 22. If actually, I think the big lot Cameron Young had a chance to just take that ball with number 8 just outside him, Alexander Apthorpe, and if the two of them had got away, there was space there under Hawick's post, but they couldn't get the ball moved quick enough. When it did come out, again a little knock on from a pass not being good enough, and that's what's letting Marr down at the moment.
Free kick from the scrum to Marr. They take it quickly. It's now charging round the corner, but the referee, Fergus Hollins, with his back to the ball, has signalled that he would like it taken from the mark. So Baird, with ball in hand, gives the ball to Ingles, and he's looking at the corner there. He takes it quickly. He's then distributed the ball into Ali Rogers. He charges forward. I did think he wasn't going to the corner because it was a free kick from the scrum. Now Miller, Apthorpe, Ingles in a chasm in the Hawick defence. He's just opened in front of the fly half, and he seized the opportunity and makes his way towards that 5 metre line. Now Marr camped deep inside Hawick territory. Their first opportunity with the ball in hand. They're going round the corner, but it's a brilliant steal on the floor from this Hawick pack, fighting for every ball. Rifled back towards Lee Armstrong. He clears his lines from inside his own goal area, and that was dangerous there from Marr. The defence really disjointed from Hawick, but again, good work on the floor, and you can certainly see this Hawick side are up for the fight.
Yeah, and you can see that difference. They are all over everything on the ground, so any little chance, so they're under pressure there. That was a tremendous run from the Marr standoff. Callum Ingles just swerved to his right, then his left, and went round through a gap, and he was way right into that Hawick 22. Didn't look like he'd be caught, but they got back, managed to bring him down, and then the Hawick players are in really quickly to turn that ball over. That was key, because Marr were looking like, they were only 5 metres out. They really should have finished that, and they've had 2 or 3 chances now in the Hawick 22 where they haven't held ball, or the pass hasn't gone to man, or it's gone to ground, or they've been turned over. And if Hawick continue to do that, that will demoralise Marr. But on the other side, it just shows, it reminds Hawick that Marr are certainly here to play.
They definitely are. They've on the bench as well for both sides. There's a Hector Patterson on for Hawick, along with Welsh and Brunton, so some experienced players. And there's Andrew Acton on the bench for Marr, along with Ewan McCarra. So there's certainly some firepower on the bench for both of these sides. And that's the first time we've really seen Marr with the ball in hand, being able to go through some phases. But again, Hawick just being able to rise to the occasion as the water is being brought off the pitch now. Hawick still camped inside their own 22, talking shop as Marr are making their way over towards the 22 metre line. So there's a slight break in play here. It's going to start... We're 21 minutes in here at Mansfield Park. It's still Hawick who are taking the initiative in the opening exchanges of this game with a very handsome lead, 11 points to 0. It's going to be a throw into the line out for Marr on the 22 metre line, and we've certainly got an action-packed day of rugby around the country in the men's game as the line out has gone to hand here. Good accuracy there from Brandon Sweet from the line out, then breaking round the corner is Sweet, who's able just to find a little gap. He's then been joined by a couple of Hawick players who are having to try and haul Marr down. The ball rifled a little bit further as Sturgeon looks to try and stretch this defence. Mitchell is now out of his post. Jack Scott then dancing back in field, tries to dislodge the defence, not this time, as Miller then crashes up into one of his front row colleagues on the other side. It's Sean Muir who's been able to get low and just stop the ex-Watsonians front row from making any inroads. Dropped off the shoulder there from Sweet and on rushing forward. Baird, outstretched arms, looking to signal to the referee that perhaps there's a little bit of infringement there from Hawick. The advantage is coming the way of the visitors. There's a chance for Sweet again to try and test this Hawick defence as Marr, for the second time in a matter of minutes, he'll go through some structured rugby as they try and kick downfield into the goal area to make it a little bit of a bun fight. But Morgan Tate, as ever, is there jogging on the spot to just stop that attack, but it's going to come back. It's centre field. I think it's going to be a penalty to Marr. Fergus Holland's just gesturing to the various positions that it can be taken from, and Colin Sturgeon has signalled to the match official right in front of the posts that they want to try and opt and take the 3 points here and get off the mark. They've had a missed penalty earlier on this afternoon, but you would imagine this is perhaps an easier attempt, if not to try and curse them.
No, and they need points on the board. You know, they've started now. That was really the first Marr attack that we've seen that's gone through phases. You know, off a line out on the far side, just inside the Hawick 22. They've put it across the 22 and back again. Still not managed to get over, so they need points. So I can understand why they're going for 3 now, and that at least gets them moving.
And it is points that they get because Colin Sturgeon makes no mistakes in front of the uprights, brings a score to 11 points to 3, and it's we've got 16 minutes left in this first half, and in this Arnold Clark men's Premiership battle, it's Hawick who have got out the traps quickest, but Marr are clawing their way back in. It's currently Hawick 11, Marr 3.
Curry 10, Melrose 7 is the score at Millennium Park at the moment. Ryan Daly and Rhys Davis scoring for Curry. Robin Sharp getting one back for Melrose. Hawick 11, Marr 3 is the score at Mansfield Park. It's Musselburgh 7, Kelso 7, Watsonians 3, Ayr 0. And let's find out what's happening at Philip On. Rejoin Robin Purdie.
Selkirk have doubled their lead, Stuart. It's now Selkirk 6, Glasgow Hawks 0. 2 Hugo Alderson penalties, both from a similar range, around 25 metres, fairly central. He looks to have his shooting boots on today, a couple of great strikes, but Hawks now trying to run it out from their own 22. All of the rugby's been played in the Hawks half. Selkirk very much dominating possession, but the Hawks are going to relieve the penalty, the pressure here rather, with a penalty, giving them an opportunity to clear their lines. It remains Selkirk 6, Glasgow Hawks 0.
Just heard that Musselburgh have gone in front at Stony Hill, and that's 14 points to 7 now. Tom Foley and Michael Badenhurst scoring tries in the Premiership. In National 1, Jed-Forest 10, Boroughmuir 12 is the latest score. Falkirk 7, Berwick 7 and Stumel 5, GHK 10, both in National 2. Let's return to Mansfield Park, and it's David and Dale.
A bit more open play now between these two sides. A ball just hoisted into the sky from Marr. Good pressure, well gathered by Lee Armstrong, but the defensive pressure came up from Marr and has just escorted him off the park on the bank inside, with a littering of spectators looking on as Lee Armstrong was defending for Hawick. It's resulted in a throw into the line out. It's short from Marr. It looked incredibly squint as well, but it was not competed against either. So Colin Sturgeon, centre field, sets up the platform. Ingles, ball in hand, out the back is the winger there. Jacobson working hard off of his left wing to try and create that overlap in this Hawick defence. There's players up on the right hand side, but Baird looking in behind to get the penalty. He goes quickly, he then brushes off the attempt for Jay Linton, who perhaps wasn't back 10, but it's now in the hands of David Andrew, who's stretching his legs towards that Hawick 22 metre line. The clear out accurate from Marr, and they're then trying to get a bit of width. Sturgeon into the hands of Sweet. He's got some options outside. The bouncing ball cannot be gathered cleanly by Callum Steele, who tries to paw at it with a left hand but bounces it on the ground, and the unfortunate bounce of a rugby ball has just bounced forward, so it's going to be a put into the scrum to Hawick. But you can start to see that Marr are starting to probably grow into this game a little bit more, just a little bit more alert now.
Yeah, their forwards, you know, they've got a good forward pack and they're working hard to get some ball and keep it. We talked earlier, Dale, about the danger of the Marr backs, and there's no doubt there are Marr backs across there who are pretty potent when they get the ball and they've got a bit of grass in front of them. But they are really letting their team down at the moment. The number of times they are dropping balls, dropping passes, playing the wrong pass. That was Colin Sturgeon actually. You know, he had 3 men outside him. He couldn't pick out one of them with the right pass. Tried to put it over Hawick winger and in front of his own winger, but it was like far too far in front and was never going to reach him. And it's that bit that there isn't really clicking for Marr at the moment, which is good news for Hawick. But Hawick have to take credit for the defence that they're putting up. They're making Marr work. They're making sure they have to be pinpointing the passes, or else it's going to go to ground or it's going to be turned over.
That was my textbook pass as a player. Just pass it to the ground and then try and blame somebody for not being in the right position. But Sturgeon, a rare error on his part, is not being able to manipulate the overlap for this Marr side, who are currently 8 points behind the hosts, 11 points to 3. Hawick lead in this Arnold Clark men's Premiership battle. Hawick off the back of a defeat on the road last weekend at Rayburn Place, 28 points to 22. They were defeated by Edinburgh Marr at Fullerton Park. Home comforts suited them against the suitors. It was 40 points to 10. A better reaction from Selkirk this weekend, however, in the driving seat against Hawks, where Robin Purdie will continue to bring you up to date with the action this afternoon. As the scrum, the ball is rolled in, securely distributed as well from Henry. A crossfield kick coming on from Ford, and it is on the money. Back inside is Welsh, but Ronan McKean has broke the first challenge. Is he going to be able to get back? But Bickerstaff is brilliant, just brilliantly been able to haul down the towering winger to ground, and then it's been turned over, it's been kicked downfield. A great opportunity there for Hoyt, just not able to use it, but Lee Armstrong's got other ideas, and he's tried to use his footwork to evade the Marr defence, but the bobbling ball is just squirmed away from his grasp, and Marr then rise with the ball in hand. Good option there from Baird, and the ball just bobbles the wrong side of the 22 metre line. But that was a golden opportunity for Hoyt there, and you perhaps could say it was the wrong option taken.
Yeah, well, it's a great crossfield kick, and it was perfectly judged by Kirkford, and McKean is a powerful lad. He came onto that at pace. You just wonder whether he could have used Charlie Welsh. He had Charlie Welsh there. And sometimes players think, I'm going to do it myself because I think I can score, rather than realising a wee pass to Welsh and I'll get the pass back again and he'll still be in, and instead he's taken on just too much there when he had a player alongside him. But it was a great attack, shows the enterprise that Hoyt have.
Yeah, thinking a little bit differently this year, this Hoyt side. It's went short, perhaps not going to plan at the line out. Sean Muir tried to gather, but it's been ripped from him by this tenacious Marr pack. The carry forward from Craig Miller, and then Ingalls, and then Sturgeon across the line. He's able to bring in McDonald, and then Scott is there, and he's got some options outside. I'm not looking to use them, perhaps wise this time, as Jacobson was bouncing off his wing, looking to offer some options for the Marr fullback. Defence rushing up there from Hoyt, who are now camped deep inside of their own 22, able to repel that wave of Marr attack. The forwards, Miller linking up, Ingalls distributing to Sturgeon, and now it looks like there's numbers up. Dislodged defence is almost taken there by Callum Steele, who had a chance to offload back inside. Bickerstaff now has been asked to do a lot of hard work there from Craig Miller, who just scoops the ball into his path. It just sets up the platform to allow Cameron Young to carry forward. The Marr support there is effective in ushering away the Hoyt Jacklers. This time is Kirkford trying to have a little go on the ground, and I think he has perhaps won that ball if my eyesight is trusting me. Welsh, who's been able to kick downfield, is able to clear the lines. It's only been gathered by Jack Scott on the 10 metre line. He's able to float into the path of Jacobson, and if he can just get the fend away from Morgan Tate, then Marr might be in for a try here. But the Hoyt players are there, ready to scoop up the loose ball back inside of the Hoyt 22. It's a bit harum-scarum between these two sides, but Hoyt looking to try and settle this passage of play and clear their lines and get a little bit of a breather, because we've got 8.5 minutes until half time here at Mansfield Park, and Hoyt will be craving to go down the tunnel in the lead, but they've just gifted Marr a penalty, and they've taken it quickly, and they're charging towards the line. And it was a carry there from Ali Rogers, who thought he could bulldoze his way over this Hoyt defence, and Marr now just camped a couple of metres shy. They go round the corner, they pick and they go, and the Hoyt green jerseys engulf the ball carrier, trying to power their way over the line. But Marr again have the ball in hand, and they're over the whitewash, and they've been awarded, I think there's actually been a penalty that's been awarded there from the match official. Trying to get a closer look as to what was going on there, but the referee has certainly signalled something there, perhaps holding on the ground, I think, because Marr, they've not retreated much more than 10 metres.
I think Hoyt did really well. Brilliant defence by Hoyt there. They were really up against it on their own line, and as you say, there was pick and go, and Marr were using their big men. The front row were getting on the ball, charging there, and big Alec Apthorpe, the number 8 as well. He's a sizable character as well, and you thought the dam must burst, but actually Hoyt stood firm there, and they managed to turn them over. And I think they had him. They had the ball, and the referee realised it was Marr going back in, and it was a penalty against Marr, which again it will be, their coach will not have any worries about how many points he can make at half time, the Marr coaching staff, because they've got a number of things they can pick on in that first half, this first half, that Marr have just let themselves down with, whether it's passing, whether it's being in the right position, whether it's making things count when they get into the 22. There's a number of things they need to improve, and a lot of that comes down to the quality of the Hawick defence, but Hawick will be glad that they survived there, because they looked like they were going to concede a try, and this, with those 6 minutes to go to half time, they'll want to make sure that they keep that gap.
Kirk Ford clears his lines inside his own 22, penalty downfield outside of the 22, in between the 22 and the 10 on the bank inside from the Hawick fly half. It's going to be a throw into the line out to Hawick as they'll look to try and settle themselves in the closing stages of this first half. Russell Anderson, ball above his head, throws it towards the tail of the line out, well gathered by Atkinson, who gets the ball at the apex, and then Anderson breaks away from the back, but the referee has signalled that there's a penalty there, an infringement at that drive, and Moll a bit of crossing going on. So Sturgeon, with the ball in hand, marches towards the match official and signals towards the post, and that's probably, I think Hawick will be disappointed with that. I think I totally agree with it. It's the defensive work that has really set this platform for Hawick, but it's been a rare error for them there.
Yeah, it is, and I was just saying, they'll want to get to half time with that gap, with Marr not having added to their 3 points, and obviously they'll want to extend the lead from 8-3 before they get in there. But I think you can see the heat is taking its toll as well. You can see a lot of players out there are struggling, particularly the big lads. We're still in the shade here on this side in the main stand, but out on that pitch, that is a hot sun. You can see players starting to struggle. They'll want to get in half time, but they've handed Marr the chance for some easy penalty points here.
Sturgeon has a glance at the uprights. It's quite far out, just closer towards the 10 metre line than the 22, and he kicks it. He's got a confident retreat back into his own half because he's successful from that penalty. It narrows the margins here in the closing stages of the first half. We've got 5 minutes of the first 40 remaining here at Mansfield Park, and it's Hawick 11, Marr 6.
That's building up quite nicely down at Mansfield Park. We'll return there very shortly, but let's go to Philip Hogg. We've had more scores down there, and it's Robin Purdie.
And since we last spoke, Stuart, Selkirk have extended their advantage. Kieran Westlake bundling over for the first try of the afternoon after a lovely move involving forwards and backs from first phase. Another beautiful strike with the boot from Hugh Alderson took out to 13-0 on 31 minutes, but just before you joined us, Glasgow Hawks are on the board. They've slotted a penalty from bang in front. Liam Brim's on the mark. So here at Philip Hogg, Selkirk 13, Glasgow Hawks 3.
Elsewhere, it's Curry 10, Melrose 7 in the Premiership, Hawick 11, Marr 6. Remember the last time they visited, of course, it was all Colin Sturgeon getting the points for Marr, but he's got 2 penalties so far to reply to Ronan McKean's try, and of course a couple of penalties from Kirk Ford. Musselburgh 14, Kelso 10, 2 tries for Musselburgh, Michael Badenhurst and Tom Foley. Dwayne Patterson's just bagged a penalty to reduce the gap to 4. Selkirk 13, Glasgow Hawks 3, as we've just heard, and it's still Watsonians 6, Ayr 0 in the Premiership. National 1, GHA 7, Gala 3, Jed-Forest 10, Boroughmuir 12, and Peebles 0, Glasgow Accies 14 is the latest score. National 2, Falkirk 14, Berwick 14, and Stumel 5. It's GHK 15, Ross Darroch getting the latest try for GHK. Back to Mansfield Park.
Good timing, Stuart, because Hawick well, they had their tails up there. It was a great break from Matt Atkinson, able to bounce off a couple of defenders on his way towards the try line, but it's been well dealt with by the Marr defence, and from that they've been able to win the penalty as well. And that came from an error from Grant Baird. He scooped the ball inside of his own 22, kicked it out on the full. The line-out didn't go to plan for Hawick yet again, David, but it was a good opportunity there for the big powerful second row to try and get towards that try line, but just not able to get the support there quick enough.
No, I think we saw great hands there from Nicky Little, the tight head as well. Took that ball at the back line out. It came to him and just slipped the ball. And yeah, I mean, was it Hugh? Was it Matt Atkinson?
Yep.
Matt, it was. He reminds me of Ian Elliott in his prime big second row for Hawick, and I thought he was going to set up a great platform. But just both sides are costing themselves. They're setting up great platforms, a lot of work going in, and then they're giving it away with silly mistakes.
I think there's going to be a bit of a an ironing out period in the Premiership as the new squad start to settle. Early stages in the Premiership this season, which sees the return of the franchises from the Super Series, and some players on the pitch here this afternoon. Kick downfield from Marr, well gathered by the only try scorer so far in this game, Ronan McKean. He filters it towards a fullback, Charlie Welsh. He sizes up the gap in front of him. He's able to truck the ball over the halfway line. Then Callum Rennick, who's been Fraser Rennick, who's been surprisingly quiet in this game, not being able to have the ball in his hands a lot, and it's then given to Jay Linton, another player who's perhaps not been able to be offered with a lot of possession so far. Both players link up and show what they can do if they're afforded time with the ball. Cut forward, sliced through the defensive line, offload to Nicky Little, back in field. Great interlinking play, and Hoyt get over the try line yet again. Logan Henry gets that score, his first try in a Hoyt jersey. But you did say great hands from Nicky Little about 2 minutes ago, but yeah, we might see him in the fly half jersey before his career's done.
I tell you, I mean, you can see Nicky Little's worth often gets measured in the size of the man, the strength of the man, and what he can do at tight head prop, but that is to underestimate what Nicky Little brings to the team, and you can see why Hoyt can want to keep him to keep playing as long as he can. That's twice we saw great sort of soft hands from big tight head that's put a player away, and it's just what we said earlier on, you know, rather than do too much yourself, use the men around you, and Hoyt got a chance earlier on. Big Ronan McKean didn't have it, you know, he could have been in for a try, but he didn't give the ball at the right time. There Hoyt did. Nice, easy, used the men, 3-4 men in support, and he made it really easy for scrum half Logan Henry to go in. First time for a little while, Dwayne, we've seen we've seen them hold the ball and actually move it at the right time, just time that pass, and you see what it creates. Yeah, it was a brilliant bit of play, and the support in line as well from Logan Henry perhaps illustrates his experience. A great asset, a great find for Hoyt, and in a conversion attempt in front of the uprights for Kirk Ford, and he makes no mistakes, and that is a great time to score if you're a Hoyt fan listening in this afternoon. There's now a 12-point cushion between these two sides. Hoyt leading 18 points to 6, and we are in the final couple of seconds here in the first half, and you can then give you a rundown of all the fixtures, all the half times in National Rugby in Scotland here with Stuart Cameron. Half time here in this game. Ingles goes short this time. It's been gathered by Donaldson, who then quickly crumbles towards the ground to set up the platform. Anderson now, great evasive work, an offload to Atkinson as well, and it's another big charge from the shaven head second row. Henry, great pass wide to Ford. He's able to give it to Lee Armstrong. He throws a dummy, then weaves back in field, but he's well dealt with by the Marr defence, who easily covers and shadows across the pitch. Then Rennick, we did say he was quiet, he's got his hands on the ball again, he's charging through, but it's been stripped from him. Marr through Baird, he distributes to Jacobson on the halfway line, who kicks it downfield. Welsh is back, just waiting and watching this bobbling ball bounce in the 22. Takes his time, right-footed kick, rifles it downfield. It's going to be an awkward one to try and gather for Jack Scott, but does well. He passes it to Ingles. It's a scrappy pass as well that's went to ground, but the fly half just watches it, ghost in front of him, then gives it to Sturgeon. Sturgeon runs into his opposite number, Lee Armstrong, who does well to stand tall and thwart any effort of breaking in behind. Sweet acts as the pivot and then is able to just lob it on to Ali Rogers, who waits on the left-hand side. Second rows now occupy our space a little bit further out, and it's a chance for David Andrew, a try scorer in the victory against Selkirk last week, to carry forward. Offload back in field there from Marr, but it's just been thumbed forward, and it's been a knock on there, and Henry thinks he spots some space back in field. It's a scruffy kick, but I think that's going to have the right measure, and the bounce of that ball has just went over the try line as Bickerstaff gets back. And then he kicks it and returns it left-footed downfield. Armstrong watching that go off the field of play. He gathers, wants to go quickly as well. Ford is there. He's almost been clattered there by the on-rushing Ali Rogers, who was onside because the ball's out of play. Tate working hard off of his wing. Now angles and arcs his run back in field because there's little or no support there. Jay Linton was there trying to act as a little bit of a stopgap, if you will. But the bulldozer, the purple bulldozer from Marr, just ushered him off the ball. He's been stabbed in behind, and Kirk Ford watches this calmly, gives it to Welsh, who's inside of his own half. He's going to go alone, and yet again plays with the ball in hand. He offloads back to Mitchell. He's trying to free his ankle from the Marr tackler, who's just wrapped round his leg. Welsh
arrows himself towards the Marr defence. It allows Henry to distribute to Donaldson, and then Anderson just lurks off of the fringes as well and takes it forward, sets up another platform, and you feel that Hawick are now just playing towards half time. Hoisted into there by Henry, who watches it. He's probably got a little bit too much distance on that, but Bickerstaff has not dealt with it well. It's went back, the referee has says, and then Bickerstaff can get his first chance to really make inroads in this defence in open prairie. He's a dangerous player for Marr, but he's been dealt with well on this occasion and the previous ones from the Hawick defence. Nicky Little getting over this ball, not able to get his mitts round it and force the penalty. Sturgeon in wider channels, now looking to bring in McDonald, and McDonald has then got a player outside. I think that's Callum Steele who's looking to stretch the pitch. We're looking to see these back row players are lurking in the 15 metre channels more often than not for this Marr side. You can see on this side, Kyle McCulloch is just on the 15 metre line with a couple of wingers outside him, so obviously a ploy from this Marr side to try and use the battering rams that will hopefully manipulate the space further out. Apthorpe able to distribute to McCulloch on the ground, offloads to Jacobson to Bickerstaff, and the ball floats forward. A sarcastic round of applause from the Hawick fans, and they'll welcome that because it takes us into half time and quickly. David, this has been an eventful, it's been an entertaining first half, and I think Hawick, much to my surprise as well, have got a very comfortable lead, I would say.
Yeah, they do. I mean, there's not much in it. There's not much in it at all. Hawick have managed to, their defence has kept Marr out, and they've taken the chances that have come their way, and that's really the story of the first half. The Marr side have let themselves down on several occasions when they just haven't been able to find man with the ball. They're playing 50-50, in fact you'd say 40-60 passes they're thrown out, that not making it easy for their teammates to gather and making it easier for Hawick just to sweep up. I think I was a bit surprised that one of the old heads in the Hawick back line there, Lee Armstrong, took that quick line out. The boys are sweltering under that sun out there, a really hot sun coming down on them today, which they might not expect for September, and certainly after the weather we've had recently. But Lee, it just shows the intent that Lee took a quick line out. He initially put Kirkford under pressure, but Hawick had to then play out that game, on their own halfway line, and Marr got the ball back, so it could have been tricky. So there's a few decisions in that first half that coaches from both teams will be asking questions about at half time, saying, look, let's get the decisions right, let's get the passes right, and let's hold on to the ball, because Hawick have done that. When Hawick have done that, they've managed to create some chances, and they've taken most of them that have come their way, whether that's through penalties or whether that's through that key try they've got at the end of that half. I think that's what's put Hawick ahead. Hawick will be quite happy with that, but I would expect to see more from Marr in the second half.
It's a handsome lead for Hawick here at Mansfield Park in the first half. 2 tries, one from Ronan McKean, one from Logan Henry, and you can take your pick at which one you feel was the best of those two. There were certainly both excellent efforts from this Hawick side. The rest of the points coming from the boot of the ever reliable Kirkford and Colin Sturgeon getting 2 penalties for Marr. So it leads us to half-time score here at Mansfield Park in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership. It's Hawick 18, Marr 6.
And it's half-time at Philip Hawke as well. Selkirk against Glasgow Hawks, Robin Purdie.
And it's Glasgow Hawks who trail at half-time. It's Selkirk 13, Glasgow Hawks 3. And to be honest, Stuart, it's been all Selkirk for at least half an hour of this game. They'll maybe even be slightly disappointed they've not got more tries on the board. The try was scored by Kieran Westlake after some good play, first phase play, slick backline move that culminated in him flopping over from all of 30 centimetres, but he's put himself about Westlake. He's been impressive in this first half, probably Selkirk's top performer. And yeah, Glasgow Hawks not really fired a shot yet, to be honest. They huffed and puffed in the last 10 minutes of that half, but Selkirk's defence fairly resolute, and they've got Glasgow Hawks' number at the moment. They've gone down the half-time tunnel 10 points ahead. A couple of points to note: Jonah Hastings, the Glasgow Hawks scrum half, he's had to depart. He came off holding his ribs, and a concern for Selkirk will be the fact that co-captain Aaron McComb came off maybe 25 minutes into the half. He was replaced by Ethan Wilson, who's been pretty impressive since he came on, but I have since seen Andrew McComb on the touchline bike, if you want to call it that, so he potentially may reappear in the second half. But yeah, all Selkirk for most of the first half. They are good value for a lead, and that lead is Selkirk 13, Glasgow Hawks 3.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Borders water, Borders barley and Borders people. That's what makes the Borders Distillery. Working exclusively with local farmers, the Borders Distillery is bringing whisky making back to the region. Our award-winning distillery is open to everyone, where you can meet the people behind the scenes, explore our wash house and shop quality local products. Tour your local distillery and discover the spirit of the Borders. Full details at thebordersdistillery.com. Always enjoy our spirit responsibly. Under 18s must be accompanied by an adult when visiting the Borders Distillery.
With over 30 years' experience in print and embroidery, BE Uniforms are one of Scotland's leading rugby teamwear specialists. We currently supply many great clubs across Scotland and the north of England, offering brands such as Adidas, Macron, Canterbury and BE Sport. We have a specialist teamwear team who collectively have over 60 years' experience in the trade, delivering quality teamwear and finding solutions to the challenges out there. If your club is looking for a new supplier and would like to know more, get all the details at beuniforms.co.uk. Proud sponsors of Rugby Radio and Borders Rugby TV. BE Uniforms, your identity is our purpose.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
This is Rugby Radio. Rugby Radio.
Let's bring you some latest score lines. Curry 17, Melrose 14. Zavarjak scoring a try, his first for Melrose after signing from Selkirk. Cairn Ramsey got an earlier try for Curry, which was their third, so they're one away from the bonus point there. Hawick 18, Marr 6 is a half-time score. Still waiting to hear from Golden Acre, Heriots against Edinburgh Accies, but Musselburgh 14, Kelso 17 is the half-time score at Stony Hill. Selkirk 13, Glasgow Accies 3 in the other Premiership game. And of course, let's not forget Watsonians against Ayr. Ayr hot favourites to win the title. How are they doing? Hugh Brown.
Well, despite an exciting opening spell, neither side could break the deadlock in the first quarter, but then Jason Baggott stroked over a penalty in 21 minutes to give Watsonians the lead, followed by an even better 3 points from 35 metres out shortly afterwards. But Ayr got a try from nothing, touchdown by James Balfour to take the lead. But Baggott struck again with his third penalty just before the interval. This is a tight match which could go either. Half-time at Marr side, Watsonians 9, Ayr 7.
So, exciting times down at Marside at the moment. Watsonians, of course, who lost to Kelso 36-31 last weekend. More latest scores in National 1, GHA 7, Gala 3. It's half-time at Canal Park. Highland 17, Stirling County 26. Jed-Forest 10, Burramuir 19 is a half-time scoreline at the moment. And a latest score from the Guides. Peebles 0, Glasgow Accies 14. International 2 and Falkirk pulling away now. They've got the try bonus. It's Falkirk 35, Berwick 14. It was 28-14 at the break. And of course, traditionally between these two sides, very high scoring games. It's going to be another one this afternoon. Stuart's Melville 8, GHK 15 is a half-time score from Inverleith. And a couple of East League half-times for you. Langham 17, Murrayfield Wanderers 6 and Hoytlandine 19, Edinburgh Northern 0. That's in Division 2. Now, yesterday you may have listened to our special broadcast from the Hive Stadium in Edinburgh, Scotland against Wales in the Women's International, and it was a big victory after going down half-time 7-5 for Scotland by 40 points to 14. The player of the match was Chloe Rollie, who we know very well in the Borders, of course, and after the game she spoke to Hugh Brown.
What a fantastic second half that was, Chloe.
Yeah, I think I think we needed to just focus on breaking Wales down. The first half maybe wasn't how we wanted it to be, but second half we came out and we knew that if we played our game plan and worked really hard and tired them out, that we would get some tries, and that's exactly what happened.
It was. What changed then between the first half and the second half? Because obviously we're 2 points down at the interval.
I think just the ability to spot what opportunities were there. I think in the first half we kind of rushed it a bit. We didn't have patience, and I think in the second half we realised what was on. The space was a bit more wide, but we needed to earn the right to go there. So we had to hit up a couple of times and then go wide and catch them on the heels. Really.
2 fantastic tries for you, an absolutely brilliant solo effort as well, right under the post. Yeah,
I think I'm really happy that I managed to get that try. It's not all about me. The team made that happen, but I think. As an individual, I'm proud of coming back from ankle surgery in summer and showing what I can do and showing that I'm pretty much back in full fitness.
It's your biggest win over Wales for many, many years, actually.
Yeah, I know. This is just testament to how well we trained this summer. Our pre-season has been going really well, and we're really aiming to push it a level. With WXV2 coming up in a couple of weeks, and then next year's the World Cup. So I think we have just focused on really what we can do and how we can improve as a squad, and we showed that tonight on the pitch.
What do you think about the Wales team? Because it was an experimental team. The Wales coach tried out some new players. You were a much more experienced side, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I think Wales' squad were not very inexperienced, they're quite inexperienced. They had a couple of seniors players. Maybe their coach is looking to bring the less experienced players through the ranks and get them ready for a WXV tournament. And I think we were more aiming for getting consistency, starting off on the right foot and focusing more on what we could do. We didn't really think about them through the week. We just focused on how we were going to play and how we were going to build and how we were going to get confidence going into the Fiji game and in WXV. And I think it's Wales put up a good fight, but we got them at the end there.
And let's talk about Fiji next Saturday. You've never played them before?
No, never played Fiji. I think it's going to be a really exciting match. I've played them before at Sevens, and they're a very unstructured team, which it can be a bit difficult when we're a bit more on the structured side. I think it's going to be very difficult, very fast, very offload skills. I think we're going to have to be very focused on how we want to play as a squad in both attack and defence. And I'm excited to play though. Hopefully depending on selection and see how the squad gets on against a less structured team.
I tell you, you'll have a 16th man because the crowd will really cheer you on.
Yeah, no, I think the crowd are going to be amazing next week. They were really loud this week, and it always pushes us to be the best that we can be. And every time something happens in a game and you hear them shouting on you, it's really, really a boost. And it, like you say, it's like a 16th man. It pushes you forward and makes you want to do really well for them and show them what we can do.
Should maybe say 16th women, shouldn't we?
Yeah, 16th women. Yeah, fair point. Yeah.
But you'll be excited about playing Fiji because they're such a strong side, big side. I mean, a bit different from Wales, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to test us with our physicality. Wales are big, they're very physical, but I think with Fiji they're going to just tuck the ball, they're going to want to go, they're going to run at us. They're going to look to maybe suck us in defence and then, skills on the outside, and it'll be really offloady, they'll bring all the skills, and, I think it's a good test for us, especially with coming up to WXV. We've got Australia there, they're a bigger team again, and I think it'll set us up nicely for that tournament.
Wee celebration tonight, Chloe?
It's quite late now, so I think go back, recover, see how we get on. But yeah, I think just get ready for Monday. We're back in on Monday, so.
I appreciate you taking time to speak to us on Rugby Radio. All the best. Well done on being player of the match.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm so happy with it and happy with how the squad performed, and we'll take it into next week.
Chloe Rollie talking after the victory for Scotland against Wales, 40 points to 14. A couple more half times just to give you before we return to Mansfield Park. GHA 26, Gala 3, Peebles 7, Glasgow Accies 21. That was half time. They've now scored a bonus try, so it's now 28 points to 7 for Glasgow Accies, and Lasswade 17, Newton Stuart 3 is a latest score. Right, they're underway in the second half at Mansfield Park. Let's return to David Ferguson and Dale Clancy.
The opening exchange, the opening couple of minutes here in the second half has been played in between no man's land, in between the two 22s. The latest break from Andrew Mitchell is culminated on a knock-on, so there's going to be a put into the scrum for Marr. One of the changes to bring you in the second half is the introduction of Ewen McCara, the ex-Bigger and ex-Heriots scrum half, now in Marr colours. He's not lining up in his familiar position of scrum half. He looks like he's potentially going to either be at fullback or potentially outside centre. So once we see a real formation, we'll bring you the positional changes. Well, no changes from Hawick. Did see Hector Patterson with his drill top off, but there's still no introduction yet, and no wonder because of the effort from Logan Henry. But from that scrum, it's been wheeled illegally. Going quickly is the captain, Baird, and and gives it to Sturgeon. He ghosts forward, but over that ball is Kirk Ford, who thinks he's able to turn it over, but it's ended up in Marr hands, and then breaking through now is Baird over the 10-metre line, but that top, purple and yellow top, is being stretched and tested by the grip of the Hawick defence. It will just stop the Russian scrum half making his way any further upfield, but the passages of play continue, and Marr builds some pressure up towards this stand side now going against the grain, and David Andrew, tasked with trucking the ball up, gives it up to his second row colleague there in Cameron Young, makes a couple of more hard earned yards, but the referee has spotted there that all over the ball was Jay Linton, able to get his clutches on it. Henry looking to go quick, it was actually Kirk Ford looking to go quickly, but he's going to bring it back, and it's going to be a kick downfield, a penalty from Hawick, but I can see there is a player currently receiving a little bit of treatment on the ground, a Hawick player. Of course, I see Matt Reid ready to bring the fluids on, a player who's arrived at Hawick after time with Boroughmuir Bears, sustained an injury at Gala 7, so still waiting to be really introduced, but there's introduced to this Mansfield Park faithful. There is going to be a change though. Murray Rennick is going to come on for Hawick. It does look like the injury perhaps to Hugh Donaldson is going to see his game come to a premature end. It's also going to be Aidan Orr coming on for Marr, wearing number 19. So a couple of early changes, as well as Andrew Acton. He's a formidable character. He was in brilliant form leading up to the cup final against Hawick a few seasons ago, where number 18 comes off the bench to try and add a little bit more muscle up front to that scrum, which has been certainly working well at the start of this second half. Kirk Ford kicks downfield, and it'll give Hawick an attacking platform, and it'll give us a chance to hear from David.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see who takes a grip of this. In that first half, we saw the first 10 minutes, it was eeksy-peeksy, but neither team was really managing to get a grip of the ball, and then Hawick managed to score, put some points on through penalties, and throughout that game, Marr really struggled to get their game going. So it'll be interesting to see if we see a change in them holding the ball and keeping it a bit tighter, perhaps in the second half, Dale.
Aidan Orr's first action is to check out what the Sky's doing, because Jay Linton just stuck him to the ground, and Charlie Welsh has then been able to orchestrate some space, and he's been able to manipulate it for Ronan McKean to go in for his second score of the game. What a platform set up from Jay Linton, just barging his way over the defence, and then quick ball getting wide, and it was as simple as you like. Good link-up play there from Charlie Welsh to release Ronan McKean for his second try, and Hawick pick up from where they left off.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I was talking there about what would Marr bring in the second half, what can we expect from them, and Hawick haven't allowed them to start. You know, Hawick have done it in the first half. What they did in the first half was they picked what chances they did have. They were more clinical in that first half than Marr were, and there they've had a chance, and they've shown again. It's only 4 minutes into the second half, and they've managed to pick off a chance. Kept the ball in hand. You know, I mean, that's the difference in that first half as well. When Hawick attacked, they're managing to keep the ball in hand. They're putting it through the hands, so they're drawing each player, which leaves a spare man. You know, and that's what they did again. It wasn't much more complicated than that. Left Ronan McKean with a bit of space on that far left touchline, and he's very hard to stop. You know, when he gets a head of steam running into the 22. I
think potentially Aidan Orr as well is going to be withdrawn from the game, because I can see that Jamie Braddock is going to make his debut from the bench wearing number 20, and during all that Kirk Ford is lining up his conversion attempt. He's got right in behind it, and he's keeping a keen eye on that kick from the touchline. It's a clutch kick from Kirk Ford, and he stretches the lead here another 2 points, 25 points to 6 now in Hawick's favour. And what a brilliant conversion attempt there, and I think I can confirm that Jamie Braddock from Marr is going to get off the bench and from Marr College make his debut, and for the first team for Marr, and it is going to be with the withdrawal of Aidan Orr, who has succumbed to a brilliant carry from Jay Linton, and from the restart it's been cleared downfield from Logan Henry, and McCara wants to go quickly, but Morgan Tate again, great energy from the winger, able to cut out that option, and that's a great exit from Hawick.
It is, and then you know, I'm pretty sure Graham Hogg will have said to them at half time, look, let's just do the basics well, let's just hold on to the ball, clear our lines, and we'll have opportunities, and that looks like they've started like that. The question is what Marr have in response. You know, they're now, that gap looks like it's quite sizable on the scoreboard. Do Marr start to come out of their patterns and start to become a bit desperate, or do they continue to play the way they want to play and keep the ball nice and tight?
Baird to Ingalls, and Marr looking to try and set up a platform of their own centre field, but just not as much of an impact as the most recent carry from Linton out to the wider channels. Ewan McCara, it's his first chance with the ball in hand. A really, really good scrum half, and it's going to be interesting to see how he fares in open field a bit further out. Ingalls, flat pass there to the on-rush and debutant in Braddock, and he does well to carry the ball on his terms. Sweet now, ball in hand, it's tucked up now as he opts to carry. Again, this Hoyt defence is not competing much at the breakdown, but it's covering the field well, hunting in packs. Fraser Rennick just catapulting himself out of his stand position and then disrupting Marr attacking play. It's a free ball for Marr to play with, and they carry forward yet again, just in between the halfway line and the 10 metre. Not really making any inroads apart from that as Miller carries forward. Ford disrupts. The ball's gone loose. McDonald is able to escape the clutches of Sam Frizzle, who was wrapped round his ankles. Play continues. Braddock tips on to Acton to Sturgeon back to Ingalls, and then in open field it's Cameron Young looking to try and bring the Bickerstaff. Can he get round the outside of Ronan McKean? Ronan McKean is just able to wrap his arms round the waist of the dangerous winger and take him off the field of play. It's going to be a throw into the line out to Hawick inside their own 22. A bit more patience there from Marr.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they are showing that they are dangerous if you keep the ball in hand and they move the ball. When I said before Marr keeping it tight, I wasn't meaning necessarily just playing through the forward channels and keeping it tight as a game. I'm meaning holding on to the ball and making sure that they're not throwing 50-50 passes. They're making sure there's a tightness about how they attack. They attack with supporting players round about them. And as we see, Hoyt making a change, the new young scrum half from New Zealand coming off. We did wonder why you might get to see Hector at Patterson soon.
I did wonder. There's Gareth Welsh on the bench as well for Hawick, so they've got an embarrassment of riches on the bench in the scrum half position. He has been brilliant this afternoon so far, Logan Henry, and what a replacement. Hector Patterson, wearing number 20, played his rugby at Jed Thistle and then was part of an instrumental part of this Hawick side over the last couple of years, emerging from youth rugby. There's going to be a break in play because I think there has perhaps been an injury in the build-up to the most recent phase. I think everybody's up on their feet, thankfully. Everybody is fine. The referee signals that there's going to be, I think it's perhaps going to be a penalty to Hawick there. Yep, the left arm raised for the high challenge. Then it's going to be a penalty for Hawick. So they'll get the chance to kick downfield through the boot of Ford. Brandon Sweet is making his way to the sideline. I do wonder if there's been a yellow card, but if there has been, I've certainly missed it.
You can count me into it, I think. I'm not sure whether, I mean, if it was a concussion, if he's been sent off for a concussion, you would think there'd be some medics round about him looking to look after him. There's not, so I think that's a yellow card that has been given.
Interesting. We'll bring you up to date. I think we're going to task David to get his maths degree out just now and then tally up the players, but Hawick come round the corner. Great play, great offload through the defensive line. Kirk Ford just able to free his hands and float into the path of Mitchell, and this Hawick side are playing with a confidence which is perhaps been absent from them in certainly the back division for a while. They're playing with a certain freedom as they again charge forward. The forwards setting the platform. Sean Muir yet again carrying forward, laying it on for Patterson to distribute to Ford. He floats the ball into the path of Anderson. He pretends to distribute the ball a little bit further, but tucks it under and carries forward. Ford stabs it, drills it forward into the 22. It's been gathered by McCara sloppily, but it's not went forward from the Marr back. Then he kicks it off the field of play, so Hawick will welcome a throw into the line out inside Marr territory. But it's a Hawick side which is oozing confidence.
Yeah, and we can confirm that was a yellow card there for Brandon Sweet, the Marr hooker, and it was a high tackle. Of course, it's got to be below that breastbone, and there's been 2 or 3 the referee, Fergus Holland, has penalised Marr for, and he's run out of patience there. But he'll quite go again.
Hawick go again, and there was almost a huge chasm yet again in that Marr defence, but Hector Patterson just couldn't pick the pass, so the Marr defence allowed to reset and get back to their posts, and Jay Linton just breaks free round the fringes, and now it's another break there from Murray Rennick, who's charging towards that try line and is held down by the covering Marr defence. I think perhaps they're able to get back and rip the ball from the Hawick grasp. They're perhaps not able to rip the ball, but they do win the penalty. So Marr, in a pivotal time as well, able to turn over the ball, and they'll get a chance to kick downfield. So it will give a chance, a little bit of respite here at Mansfield Park for this Marr side. Hawick currently have their tails up against a 14-man Marr side with Brandon Sweet in the bin for another 8 minutes. But it's Hawick in the driving seat, and they currently lead here 25 points to 6 against Marr.
Peebles 19, Glasgow Accies 28 is the latest score. And how about this one at Millennium Park? Curry 17, Melrose 21 now. A third try for Melrose, 3 for Curry already. And there's been some more action down at Philip Hogg. Let's find out what's happened with Robin Purdie.
There's been action aplenty in this second half, Stuart. The half wasn't a minute old when the Hawks romped in for their first try. Ryan Flett, with his third try of the season in 1.5 games. That was converted by Liam Brims to take it to 13-10. But since then, Josh Welsh has gone under the sticks for the Suitors after he was the recipient of a lovely grubber by Aaron McComb, who's re-entered the fray. That was converted by Hugo Alderson, who's on 100% with the tee this afternoon. He's playing splendidly. And as an aside, Scott Steele, the recent Scotland scrum half, has come on for Glasgow Hawks. May that be coincidental in terms of a pick-up in their fortunes. It will remain to be seen. But here at Philip Hall, it's currently Selkirk 20, Glasgow Hawks 10.
And more scores coming in here. We can tell you that Watsonians 15, Ayr 7 is the latest score. 5 penalties from Jason Baggott in that game at the moment. And Jed-Forest 10, Boroughmuir 26 is the latest score. Peebles 19, Glasgow Accies 28. The fight back at the Guights for Peebles. Stumel 15, GHK 15 is the latest score in National 2. And Falkirk 40 now, Berwick 14 also in National 2. Let's return to Mansfield Park.
Marr able to clear their lines. They take it closer towards their own 10-metre line. They go for a short line out, but it's just bobbled off the chest of the pod that was at the front of that Marr line out. And now Hector in the attack, deep inside Marr territory yet again. Patterson gives it to little tips on to Henderson, who's arriving at pace, looking to just burst his way through that Marr defence. Rennick out the back then to Ford. There's a couple of options there. One of them is Mitchell. He puts the brakes on, and then he's going to just give it to birthday boy Lee Armstrong. He goes in for the bonus point try, and it's an excellent, well-worked try. It's from a Marr mistake yet again. But what vision there from Andrew Mitchell, just to put the brakes on and then manipulate the space enough to give Lee Armstrong what is probably going to be the sweetest of tries on his 35th birthday. He's certainly making me look like a fool, because I'm the same age as him, but I've been here for about 10 years, so it's good to see him still scoring tries out on a rugby pitch within a Hawick jersey. And that is the scoreline now is a staggering scoreline here at Mansfield Park. It's currently Hawick 30, Marr 6. But David, what a brilliant try there for Hawick.
Yeah, it was a good try, and you can't take anything away from Hawick. I said earlier, towards the end of the first half, there wasn't a lot between the teams, and at that stage that was the case. But Marr have been dropping chances, they've been not taking chances. In the second half, Hawick have come out and just really closed them down. They've just made sure they've got any mistake they pounce on, and they made that try look very easy. They were just attacking with plenty of numbers in that 22, moved the ball, timed the pass as well, and as you say, Andrew Mitchell made it really easy for Lee Armstrong going for his birthday try.
Conversion attempt, it looks like it's curling round, and it's yet another successful conversion from Kirkford. Left, right, blob on the middle. It doesn't really matter where you're going to put them for Kirkford. He's going to, more often than not, get in between the kindling, and it's another 2 points, 32 points to 6 now in Hawick's favour. And we've got a quarter of the game left, 57 minutes gone here, and it's a try for Armstrong, and it's a bonus point try. A couple of changes as well to bring you from the Hawick side. You can see that Sean Linton is entered the fray, elder brother of Jay Linton, an ex-Scotland age grade front row, a powerful player in his day, back playing rugby and back in the first team as well, and also Gareth Welsh on the pitch. So it'll be interesting to see where he lines up. I think he replaced Matty Atkinson, the second row, and perhaps just looking to plug them in and get some energy back in and welcome them back. Welsh has to make the challenge, goes low, where number 19, perhaps a back row replacement, perhaps not a scrum half, as Ingalls wrapping round off the latest wave of attack from Marr. I find it very difficult to start to analyse this Marr defence and see where they're going to get joy against this flat Hawick defence which is there. It's just a green wall. They go quickly from the penalty. It's Baird, and Baird's got his tail up now, going towards that 5 metre line. There was a kind of a pipeline towards that try line there for Marr. The Hawick defender's not able to really get him under wraps at all as Miller picks and goes round that phase. It's now to Apthorpe. He has to duck and stoop down to try and barge his way forward. Baird gives it to Acton, working hard round the corner. He's brought down on the 5 metre line, but the referee is going to signal there's going to be a yellow card here, and I think now it's going to be Murray Rennick. He's going to be yellow carded for Hawick. That's a slightly easier one to see when the referee brandishes it and puts it in the air. So both teams down to 14 men. Hawick will be down to 14 men for 10 minutes. We're going to see the reintroduction of Brandon Sweet at some time soon. But Marr, penalty in front of the post, so they give it to Apthorpe. They tap it quickly and goal, but again the defence holds firm. Bouncing off of his feet there, Jamie Braddock trying to find a weak point in this Hawick defence, but the counter ruck coming on is impressive as Welsh sweeps up the ball on the ground, but it has been turned back over to Marr. It's scrappy. It's a seesaw battle. This most recent passage of play as Apthorpe is hauled down there. Morgan Tate getting low enough just to wrap his arms round the thigh of the big powerful number 8, equally as comfortable at loose head as well and tight head in the front row, packing down at number 8. Ingles running and ghosting in behind Acton. Again the Hawick defence rushing up quickly, just ushering Marr back a few metres as well, asking them to reset. Another carry from Braddock. He's had an impressive outing from the bench as well. He's been industrious, always looking to carry. Now Craig Miller, he'll be looking to try and show his experience and haul Marr back into this. There's still a quarter to play in this game, and Marr through Ingles is clattered outside of the Hawick 22 by Jay Linton. And there's a few people I would want to be clattered by. Jay Linton is certainly towards the top of that list. The ball scrappy yet again, but Marr have to retreat back only a minute or so again. They were attacking towards the Hawick 5 metre line, and now they get a put into the scrum in between the 22 and the 10, and that is impressive defence from this Hawick side.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I'm looking at the Marr attack, Dale, and trying to work out why is it that their attack is not making any inroads. And there's a couple of reasons. One, they're not as fluid in attack, so they're leaving it to one man to go and then trying to get in behind them, and they're not as quick in support. So the ball carrier is often having to work really hard to get that ball back, which slows down the attack, slows down the ball. The other obvious factor in the disappointment in the Marr attack is the Hawick defence, and Hawick are flying out, they're coming at them, they're not giving them any chance to settle. So when the ball does go loose or a player has to turn back, and they're forcing that as well, they're coming out. Andrew Mitchell coming out wide there. Fraser Rennick did it earlier on where he came out wide out to stop the attack going any wider across the pitch, and Marr had to turn back in and come back in to where the Hawick forwards were waiting for them. They're working really hard in defence, Hawick. They've really got the bit between their teeth. They know they're ahead, and Hawick teams are difficult. You know, they're like Hawick teams of old. When they've got the bit between their teeth, when they're up on the scoreboard, they know never to take the foot off the accelerator. They still want to go. They still want to get the cheers coming from the big crowd, the big stand, and they're working hard at the moment to get those big cheers in defence.
Play going to get back underway here with a put in to the scrum to Marr. There's still a lot of action around the country, which you're on the radio station to bring you live action from the National Club game. And after this passage of play, we'll perhaps get an update from some of the grounds where there's competitive action in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership. It's slightly one-sided here as the Marr scrum looks to squeeze against this Hawick side. The referee's going to ask for that to be reset. Sean Linton's side, a slighter looking Sean Linton. He was a brilliant player back in certainly in his age grade days when he first burst into the scene, and he's been away from rugby for a little bit of time, but great to see him back out there. And he's up against Andrew Acton on the left side of this scrum. So Sean Linton, the tight head there, Acton, the loose head, Both sides crouched again, gripping onto the shirts, and then shoulders crashing together as the ball rolled in by the Marr captain Baird. Then it looks like Linton is almost crumbling underneath, acting in a positive way as well, but it stays firm, and Sturgeon centre field links up with Ingles looking to try and bring Jack Scott into play, but the ball's gone loose. It's now ricocheting about. Ronan McKean breaks free from the first challenge, and then the second. He's looking in brilliant condition. Ronan McKean suffered with injury last year, and the ball has been rifled back to Kirkford, and that is a brilliant kick down in towards the Marr 22 area. Ewan McCarra takes his time, right-footed kick, returns it downfield. Lee Armstrong, the most recent try scorer in this game, comfortably gathers the ball and then distributes to Ford. He fires it across into the path of Welsh, who gathers his feet, and then ball in two hand, looks to line up the defenders, but he's been hauled down. Jay Linton wrapping round on the halfway line, gets the offload and tries to angle his run back towards the Marr area, but not able to, bursting out of his defensive line as Apthorpe, who's able to clatter the Hawick receiver. Play slowed down in between the 10 and the halfway. We've got 16 minutes remaining here at Mansfield Park. It's Hawick 32, Marr 6, and the ball is hoisted into the air by Hector Patterson, a replacement at scrum half, gathered well by Bickerstaff, and he's got some Hawick players for company. One of them there was Sean Linton, able to drag the winger down. There's a Marr player clutching at his ankle on the ground from that most recent set play as Craig Miller, deep inside his own half, goes round the corner, tries to get an injection into this Marr attack. The ball's gone loose. Lee Armstrong tries to play a bit of football, get it into an area where he can make a bit of a fight of it, but it's been offloaded to McCarra. McCarra getting on the outside of Welsh. Is he able to get the pace on the scrum half? He's not able to. He's been ushered off the field of play. Morgan Tate assisted, and Marr again run down an alley as there's a clutch of players looking to return back onto the field of play, but there's going to be a little break. We've got 15 minutes remaining here in the men's Premiership, and it's Hawick 32, Marr 6.
Curry 22, Melrose 21 is a latest score. Ian Sim, former Kelso player, going over for Curry's bonus point try there. Hawick 32, Marr 6 at Mansfield Park, as you've just heard. Still waiting on news from Goldenacre, Herits and Imberaki's. Drawn a blank at the moment, but Musselburgh 14, Kelso 17 is the latest. Selkirk against Glasgow Hawksbill. Let's find out live from Robin Purdie.
You join us here with Selkirk in the attack again. And they're playing just for points difference now because they've already got the try bonus in the bag since I spoke to you last, Stuart. Hugo Alderson's gone over. He's been absolutely outstanding this afternoon. Andrew Grant Sutty's gone over. And it currently here at Philip Hall, Selkirk in Dreamland, it's Selkirk 34, Glasgow Hawks 10.
Fantastic stuff down there at Philip Hawk if you're a Selkirk fan, and good to see them getting some good home form coming into this season. Watsonians 15, remember those 5 Jason Baggott penalties? Well, it's not enough at the moment because 3 tries, all converted for Ayr, makes it now Watsonians 15, Ayr 21. Jamie Shedden getting the latest try for them, Fergus Johnston, and also James Malcolm getting the tries for Ayr earlier on. National 1, the latest GHA 26, Gala 3, Highland 34, Stirling County 38. Jed-Forest, they're doing well now. They've coming back. It's Jed-Forest 24, Boroughmuir 26. Tight one at Riverside Park. A penalty try there to add to Owen Cranston and Gregor Young. They're one away from a try bonus. And Peebles making a comeback now as well. They've got a try bonus. Peebles 26, Glasgow Accies 35. National 2, its latest, it's Falkirk 40, Berwick 21, and Stumel 29, GHK 22. Remember, Stumel were behind 15-8 in that game. They've come back now to lead and get a bonus point, 29-22 at Inverleith. Well, for the closing stages at Mansfield Park, let's return to David Ferguson and Dale Clancy.
Marr on the attack, a couple of changes as well, but Sturgeon is just giving the ball into the path of an on-rushing Callum Steele, who's been hauled down to ground. The ball turned over back into Hawick territory. They currently lead 32 points to 6, and this has been somewhat of a masterclass by this Hawick side. They've looked calm and composed, both in mainly in the backs, but certainly they've had the physicality up front as well. Kick chase coming on from Hawick, but it's been well gathered in the backfield there by Bickerstaff. He's been brought down to ground but bounces off of it and able to offload the ball into the path of returning Brandon Sweet, who's off the naughty step after his yellow card. The counter ruck coming on there from Hawick. Rennick gathers, the referee gives the penalty there, and certainly it's one of those harsh ones because Hawick had bulldozed Marr off of the ball, and he just kind of creeped round the corner to gather that ball. So yeah, you can see the loss played, but perhaps unfortunate there. Sturgeon takes the quick penalty, gives it into the path of Andrew, and now Bickerstaff's in behind. Has he got the angle on Kirkford? He has, and Marr are going to go in for a try. It was a high challenge as well there coming in from Kirkford, but eventually the defensive resilience yields from this Hawick side, and Marr get their score. They're up to 11 now. Still a bit to come back into this game, but it was a well worked try and good vision there from the effervescent Colin Sturgeon.
Yeah, it was, Dale. You can see that, again, we've said earlier in the game that Marr have got players that are potent attackers when they get the ball and they move the ball. What they've not done in this game is move the ball well enough through the team to be able to draw and find gaps in that Hawick defence. But what they do have is boys that will take them on, and there we saw, I was just writing that they're making an attack and they've not got really supporting runners. They don't seem to be, players on the same wavelength to get there quick enough to support, but on that occasion they didn't really need it. When they've got Scott Bickerstaff outside there, and I've been really impressed actually with scrum half Grant Baird. He's been making some great breaks, great little intrusions, but he's just not had the support at times, somebody in the same pace as him to be able to be there to take it on. That time they did. They had Scott Bickerstaff on the wing, and he is a good finisher.
Sturgeon, the ball pointing towards the uprights just on the 22, just shy of the 5 metre line. It's another confident retreat back towards his own half, and no wonder the confidence is there, because that's another excellent kick on display here at Mansfield Park. Both sides now back up to 15 players as well, but it narrows the margins. 32 points to 13 now, Hawick lead, and I can see Murray Rennick back on the pitch. There'll be some changes as well. Graham Dick is going to come on for Marr along with Andrew Ramage, so there'll be some changes. Craig Miller is one of the players coming off, so there's going to be changes. A reminder that Lewis Ferguson came on for Morgan Tate on the wing. He was getting a bit of attention on his calf, but yeah, Ronan McKean's got 2 tries, but you've got to say Morgan Tate has had a brilliant game, done all the hard work, worked hard off the ball, got on behind and thwarted some early pressure from this Marr side. Kirkford gets the ball into the air off that right boot of his, kicks it in towards the 22. There's an initial break there from Jack Scott, the Marr fullback. He's been busy this afternoon. Brandon Sweet, a little clap of the hands, signalling that he wants the ball. Brushes off the first challenge from Welsh. Baird gets there quickly to Ingles. Ingles filters the ball onto Apthorpe, and then Sturgeon just throws it into a little bit of an unoccupied space, and the bobbling ball then did rise into the hands of an on-rushing Marr attacker. The defence as well, the tackle did ride high, so Marr got somewhat of a cheap penalty, but you'd feel that they'd think that if they can get a converted score pretty soon, it would give them a glimmer of hope in this game. They've got obviously that one try, but yeah, they've kind of flattered to deceive so far, but a lot of that has been because of such brilliant work in defence from Hawick.
Yeah, and I think, from this point of view in the season, you're just looking to try and make sure you do get some tries. You finish the game strongly, give the coach a reason to pick you again next week, and start to hope that you're building. By finishing the game well, you can look to build to next week and show again that you've learned from the mistakes you've made earlier in the game. But you'd hope that a team like Marr will look to do that, but Hawick you can just see the confidence across that Hawick team. You can see it in defence. They know where they're meant to be, they know what their jobs are, and they're all in there pretty quickly to do that. And thankfully for them, I think the sun has gone in the second half and it's become a bit more overcast, and I think that has allowed them perhaps to get through this game with a bit of energy still left. But yeah, it's still been a really hard game, a really physical match, and you can see that from the number of players that have been forced off with injuries.
Yeah, I think there was a point in that game where I thought Charlie Welsh could have done with a sombrero, never mind a scrum cap in this first half, but scything through there is Murray Rennick. He's got the knees up back on the field of play, and he's given it to Hector Patterson, and any thought of closing the gap between these two sides has just been extinguished by that brilliant break from Murray Rennick. Back onto the pitch after that yellow card, and he just scythed through that defensive line and acting quickly again. We've seen it in the first half with Logan Henry, but we've seen it yet again from Hector Patterson. That supporting line from the scrum half, just on the shoulder, able just to get a march on that Marr defence and get over for a try. 37 points to 13 now, and this has been a masterclass from Hawick. It's been brilliant to watch.
Yeah, and I tell you what is it, and there's an element of masterclass throughout the Hawick's play today, has been the timing of the pass. And it's not a surprise they've got Graham Hogg as their coach. Graham works with a lot of youngsters. He's been the development officer for a number of years. He'll work through that with the kids from a very early age, just how to draw the man and pass. Simple, basic skill, but it's amazing how many times we see players at high levels who do not execute that properly. Today, right through the game today, that's what has been perhaps a common denominator in a lot of the Hawick tries, has been their ability to draw the man, pass at the right time, so that you're sending a man in for what looks like an easy try.
The conversion coming up from Kirkford. It's successful yet again. 39 points to 11, and a little mention about Graham Hogg, because obviously the minute silence before the game, he's actually cousins with Craig Rogerson, and it's been a professional approach to this game. Obviously a sad couple of days for him and his family, and obviously all our thoughts, I didn't echo that at the start, all our thoughts are with the family of Craig Rogerson, but it's been a real professional performance from Graham Hogg, and he's got this Hawick side firing. 39 points to 13. Kirkford gathers the ball from the restart, rifles it back downfield, and it's just gone out on the full, and we can put that down to one error from Kirkford in his rugby career, because he's just kicked that out in the full.
He doesn't make many, does he? And that, to be honest, I mean, you can go a long way with players and teams by doing the basics well and not making many errors. And I think that's the story of today's game, really, Dale, is that Marr have made far too many errors for them to ever have any kind of control or grip on this game, despite putting in a lot of effort. They've got a lot of good players in that team. There've been a lot of effort right across the players, there's no doubt about that, and they want to play in there. You can see them wanting to do the right things, but not holding on to the balls, not passing at the right time, not having enough support. That's what's cost them. And Hawick have just, after from the first 5-10 minutes have been a bit scrappy, they've just built into this game and become more and more composed, more confident, and they're looking like the side that went on and won the Premiership in previous seasons.
Marr, one of the sides who have really benefited of the changes in the landscape of Scottish rugby over the last few years. Hawick as well, you could argue, have benefited from the void that was perhaps left from the real standout quality at the top of Scottish club rugby. But both sides here are showing that they certainly don't want to slip away from those teams that were earmarked to be towards the top, the likes of Ayr and the likes of Heriots. Melrose put in a gutsy display against Heriots last weekend. It's going to take a bit of time for the dust to settle in Premiership action, but Hawick are certainly putting down a marker to all their Premiership rivals that they're a historic club by their own rights, and they're saying they want to keep building their history, and they're here to stay. 39 points to 13, 5 minutes remain here at Mansfield Park, and Marr are on the attack. They're trying to build it through McCara, bounces off his feet and then back into Sean Linton. It was a challenge which was driving from the tight head prop, and the referee signals it was high on the Marr number 23. The ball went loose. Lee Armstrong had gathered, but it's a knock on, so Marr will get the chance to kick downfield. And there's been spells in this game where Marr have looked well. They've went quickly here. They just put the ball on the toe. They get it to Brandon Sweet, Rennick and Linton doubling up in defence. Baird releases Scott. Scott just kicks the ball over the top, and Kirkford in behind calls the mark. And I was going to say there's been phases in this game where Marr have looked composed and structured, but it's been brilliant to watch that Hawick defence, because at times you can see it's almost like an acoustic wave, the way that it's working, coming bellying up in the middle and then starting to kind of wave out towards the touchline, and it's been really difficult for this Marr side to deal with.
I like that, Dale. Acoustic wave, yeah, very nice.
Thank you.
Picture that, can't you? And you're right. I mean, that's what, as Hawick have built through this game, we've seen them become more and more confident, working as a team, and that's what Marr have just struggled with. And you're right, Marr have had periods where they've had the ball, they've been in possession, they've had the possession, good platforms, good territory in the Hawick half. In the first half, they just butchered so many opportunities, and that's how their coach will see it, and that's how they'll see it, I'm sure. They've got to give credit to Hawick for that ability to put them under pressure, make it hard for them when they're on the ball. We've seen that throughout by Hawick, but yeah, you would expect a bit more from Marr. We're seeing it now as they're going through the phases, they're starting to move the ball. You can see their danger, but now they're in the 22. This is where they have to actually hold on to the ball and have that cutting edge, and that's what they've lacked so far.
Getting it to the wider channels now, looking to stretch this Hawick defence. They're down another Bickerstaff, because after the one retired, one's been withdrawn from the game from injury, so Marr rarely are Bickerstaff lists, and again just running down an alley against this insistent and ferocious Hawick pressure which is in front of them. And you've got to say at times it is mostly been because of that. They've been the most frustrating defence to play against this afternoon, and Marr just do not have the answers.
No, they don't, because you can see that as a handling error. The player's going forward and he loses the ball in contact, it goes flying forward, and you can see the rest of the Marr players all going, oh, here we go again, why is this happening all day? But it's actually the ferocity of the tackles that are coming in are knocking the wind out of players, and so they've got no choice but their arms go forward and the ball goes flying into the air. So that's a real credit to the Hawick, the quality of the Hawick defence, the strength of the Hawick defence. That's what's made it really hard for Marr throughout today.
Speaking of Hawick strength, Jay Linton just makes a good 20 metres from the base of that scrum, from his own 22 almost up to the 10 metre line. It's then broken free and Hector Patterson does well to sweep the ball up, offloads to Welsh, but Welsh jumping into the sky is just not able to gather as Hector Patterson's heels graze the whitewash on the touchline. The assistant referee signals and points his flag to the sky, his left arm outreached towards the Marr side, signalling that they're going to get the throw into the line out. We've got a couple of minutes left to play here at Mansfield Park. It's currently Hawick 39, Marr 13. And it might give us a chance actually to see if there's an update from Philip Hogg, because I believe there has been some action, Stuart, if I'm correct.
Yes, you are correct, Dale Clancy. Let's go to Robin Purdie.
It's a fifth try of the afternoon for Selkirk, Stuart. It's been all Selkirk in this second half as well. Jack Fisher, the recent recruit from Boroughmuir Bears, he's got his second of the season. He ploughed over. He's a big old unit. And Hugo Alderson 100% with the boot this afternoon. Fifth conversion of the afternoon for him to add to his 2 penalties. There's 3 or so minutes remaining here at Selkirk 41, Glasgow Hawks 10.
And, how about this one? Curry 22, Melrose 28, a bonus point try for Melrose at Millennium Park. Who would have predicted that? Well done to them. Musselburgh 21, Kelso 17 is a latest score. Selkirk 41, Glasgow Hawks 10, as we've just heard. Watsonians 15, Ayr 26. They've got the try bonus. Chris Hyde going in to make that 4 tries for Ayr at Myerside. In National 1, we have a latest score. How about this one? Jed-Forest 41, Boroughmuir 33, both with try bonuses now. And Jed-Forest, if they can hang on, they're 8 points clear of Boroughmuir to get their first win for a long, long time. Peebles 26, Glasgow Accies 35 is a latest score. We've got our first full-time result in National 2. Falkirk 40, Berwick 21 in that game, and Stumel 29, GHK 22. Let's return for the final moments to Mansfield Park, Hawick against Marr.
Final moments, and Hector Patterson's just broke free. Welsh has gathered the ball and he's been hit high by Colin Sturgeon. Welsh then goes quickly and it looks like Patterson is going to be in for a double. It was out of absolutely nothing there from Hawick, and you can hear the Hawick faithful in raptures in the stand here. The ripple of the rounds of applause as Welsh and Patterson link up. It was a high shot, the penalty taken quickly, and we've said it before, there's been a few occasions when the scrum half has run that ghosting line back in field, but it was a line this time run yet again by Hector Patterson, and he's at the double here for Hawick, and this is a huge victory for Hawick.
Yeah, it is, and they deserve it. They've worked hard, for all the points that have come. There could have been a couple of softer tries, but that one certainly being one. I mean, it was a penalty given against Marr for the high tackle. I'm not entirely sure Gregor Welsh actually tapped it or did anything. I think he just carried on going, and the ref just seemed to wave carry on, and the Marr boys were a bit stunned by that, so he found himself with just one man to beat. Passed inside, Hector Patterson doing the right scrum half thing, following up, and he was there to take the pass and go in from very close range. So it probably does flatter Hawick a little bit. A scoreline like that, nearly 50 points up to 46, and that's a penalty. That's the Marr boys. The Marr boys were not happy with that. I think there's no doubt Gregor Welsh just carried on running, and they didn't take a tap penalty, and the Marr boys have made the ref aware of that, or in their view they've certainly told the ref what they think of that, and the referee's given a penalty. So that just sort of puts the tin lid, doesn't it, on Marr's day. There's not been much that's gone their way at all.
Yeah, Fergus Holland's doing the naked sock puppet towards the Marr players. The signal, there's a bit of back chat, and Kirk Ford can then stab the ball downfield. I don't think he's going to find touch, and Marr are going to have to try and attack from deep inside of their own 22. This probably will be the final play of the final few plays of this game. There's been a little fumble, so there's going to be a scrum down, a put in to Hawick, and I think they'll welcome this platform to attack from, because another try will take them over that 50-point mark. And look, I'm happy to put my hands up. I would never ever have thought that Hawick would be able to sweep aside Marr in the manner that they've done this afternoon. I also probably wouldn't have predicted that Melrose would have got anything up at Millennium, so it shows you what I know about rugby. But Hawick have been brilliant this afternoon, haven't they?
Yeah, it just shows you, the teams who don't quite know what's going to happen in this Premiership this season, with the Super Series boys being back in. But Melrose were obviously desperate to bounce back from their result last week. They knew they were close against Heriot and let them away. And Hawick have done the same today. They had to bounce back from Edinburgh Accies loss last week, and they've just been very proficient right across the team today.
Solid scrum, and then they deploy Lee Armstrong centre field. Hector Patterson travels with the ball and then floats it to Brunton. Brunton gives it to Ford. It's now 2-on-2. Ford looking to try and go round the outside, but he's been hauled down. He offloads into the path. I think that was Jay Linton who was there in support, so the Hawick players have to get there quickly. Hector Patterson goes in the corner and he's got his hat trick off the bench. 3 tries for the scrum half. The Edinburgh Senior Academy player back in Hawick colours. And what a hat trick that is. Great vision from the scrum half. There was nobody manning that corner, and that will be the final say, and that takes Hawick over the 50-point mark. 51 points to 13, and what an effort it has been from the Green Machine.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, it's brilliant for Hector Patterson. I mean, one of the challenges in Scottish rugby at the moment is how young players get the chance to show what they're capable of, how they learn, how they develop. In the past, of course, pre-professional times, they would learn alongside older boys in their town, in their local teams, and older players who would keep them right and help them, look after them. That's not the way it is anymore. They're coming through academies, but the one thing they lack is games. They're not getting enough games for young players. So I'm sure Hector Patterson will be delighted to get the chance to run out in the green of his hometown, and his father's old team. His father Derek, of course, are a big Scotland player, Scotland scrum half, Hawick scrum half, and he'll be very proud to see his son doing that for Hawick this afternoon.
Lee Armstrong, before he gets a slice of his Colin Caterpillar cake, it's right-footed kick towards the uprights. He gets the final conversion of this afternoon, and it's the final play. It's an unsuccessful conversion attempt for Lee Armstrong, but it is a statement of intent from this Hawick side. 51 points to 13. And from the opening exchanges, you've got to say, when McKean scored that try, Hawick never really looked back. They were able to keep that tempo and that power in their game. They never let the intensity drop, and that's probably what set them up for what has been a very one-sided victory.
Yeah, it's turned out that way, Dale. As you say, we didn't expect that today. We expected Marr to really make a close game of it. I think I said early on that they needed to take those early points because it would probably be close, and Hawick, it would be a matter of who took their chances. But that's why Hawick went with Kirkford's penalties earlier on. But they've really taken a grip of the game. Midway through that first half, they were the team who were holding their defence, really kept them in it early on. They made it very hard for Marr. Marr had some good opportunities in the 22. They just couldn't hold on to the ball, and whether that was their own mistakes, there's plenty of them dropping the ball, passing wild 50-50s that went on, and just not having the support at times when men made up the first break. You've got to say that Hawick's defence was really what laid the platform for, as you said, Dale, for them to go on and have that confidence and composure to play the game they wanted to and to go when they wanted to. They didn't have to take any chances. They were able to play well as a team. They were able to back up each other. So when they got the chance and somebody made the break, there was always somebody there to be able to finish it off. And we saw that right at the end. Hector Patterson comes off the bench, and he's eager for opportunities, so he's following the ball carrier everywhere he's going. And yeah, you've got to say the young scrum half deserves a hat-trick at the end for his enterprise and making sure Hawick were not just going to settle for a big win. They were always going to look for more points.
Almost the perfect game plan from this Hawick side as they applaud Marr, who are going down the tunnel, as both sides are going to then take stock of what was a high octane and intense game in the Arnold Clark Men's Premiership. It was a half-time lead for Hawick, 18 points to 6. They went down the tunnel and they never looked back in the second half at all. It was tries, a double from McKean in the end. Lee Armstrong got his birthday try, a rare try for Marr this afternoon. They got one from Scott Bickerstaff, and then the hat-trick from Hector Patterson. Points from the boot, and you can hear how delighted the Hawick spectators are here at Mansfield Park. They can start to look towards the upwards in the table after a dejection of a defeat in the opening exchanges, the opening round of the men's Premiership. They back it up with a victory at home and get their men's Premiership campaign underway. It's a one-sided victory for Hawick, but it's been a statement of intent. Join us back here for some reaction from both sides of the fence, from Hawick and from Marr, but probably a more jubilant Hawick side, because it finishes here at Mansfield Park. Hawick 51, Marr 13.
What a result down at Mansfield Park, and it's finished at Millennium Park as well. Curry 27, Melrose 28. A big shock. All 5 points for Melrose, a try bonus and a losing bonus for Curry, who get their first points in the Premiership. Hawick 51. Marr 13, as we've just heard. Musselburgh have beaten Kelso. It's Musselburgh 21, Kelso 17. Watsonians 22, Ayr 26 is a latest score there. Watsonians getting their first try to add to 5 Jason Baggott penalties. And it's all over at Philip Hogg. Selkirk against Glasgow Hawks. Here's Robin Purdie.
It is all over indeed, and what a resounding afternoon for the Suitors. They've finished this one 41 points to 10 victors, and the scoreline doesn't flatter them. Stuart, they richly deserve that scoreline. 5 tries, 5 conversions from Hugh Alderson to add to a couple of early penalties. Tries for Selkirk by Kieran Westlake, also outstanding this afternoon. Josh Welsh, Alderson himself, Andrew Grant-Sutty, and finished off by Jack Fisher. 1 try for the Hawks straight after half time. That came through Ryan Flett, his third of the season. But yes, Selkirk very much back on the horse after defeat through in the West at Marr last week, and they will head to Poynter Park next week full of confidence. It's finished here at Philip Hall. Selkirk 41, Glasgow Hawks 10.
What a result. It was 40-10 last week. It's 41-10 this week, but a complete reversal as well. We'll be returning to Mansfield Park and to Philip Hall very, very shortly, but we'll go to Marr side now. Watsonians against Ayr. It's all over there. Here's Hugh Brown.
Well, it was a win for the Premiership pre-season favourites Ayr, but Watsonians gave them a fright, leading 15-7 after 55 minutes thanks to 5 Jason Baggott penalties. But then the Millbrae men in their distinctive pink and black striped shirts moved up a gear, scoring 3 tries, courtesy of replacement Fergus Johnson and outside centre Jamie Shedden. And with 5 minutes left, fullback Chris Hyde secured the victory with try number 4. Consolation try for Watsonians on the final whistle kept the scores close though, but it's 2 wins out of 2 for Ayr and 2 losses for Watsonians. Final score at Marr side, Watsonians 22, Ayr 26.
Well, still a lot of results coming in. We'll bring you all of them. Don't forget, we're on the air till 5:30 this afternoon, and for every Saturday from now on. So we'll be going back to Philip Hogg to get reaction from Selkirk and Glasgow Hawks, and also Hawick against Marr, which was played out at Mansfield Park this afternoon. Let's go back down to Mansfield Park, and the hat-trick hero came off the bench. Hector Patterson is now down there talking to David Ferguson. Except he's not, so I wonder if we can instead go to Selkirk. Can we go to Selkirk? Let's find out if Robin is there. No, not much happening there either. So let's go to Marr side, and I'm sure we'll get Hugh Brown talking to Jason Baggott.
Jason, that was a tough game. You gave them a bit of a fright.
Yeah, no, it was good. I thought we sort of stuck to our game plan pretty well. A few sort of parts of the second half where we kind of went away from our game plan, but really positive from last week, and hopefully we can keep building moving forward.
5 penalties, you were ahead 15-7, and then they struck with 3 tries to really put the sword to you.
Yeah, like I say, you know, my job is just to kind of keep piling on the pressure. Unfortunately, a few compounding errors from us kind of led them back into the game, and unfortunately it was too much in the end.
What do you think Watsonians' aims are for this season then?
Well, it just kind of shows that, you know, essentially Ayr probably, you know, top team or top 2 teams in the league. Kind of we went toe to toe with them. Effectively, we should have won that game. A few sort of tries went a begging, but we definitely sort of top 4 towards the end of the season, hopefully.
And 2 former Super 6 teams. You've kept some of your players. Ayr seem to have kept more. Do you think that made a difference today?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you know, skills or standards aside, effectively we're merging 2 teams together. So obviously it's going to take getting used to one another where they've got pretty much most of the team together. So it's definitely going to take us a bit of time, but it's definitely kind of moving in the right direction.
So it's a work in progress then?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any season where you bring two teams together is always going to be, a progress and sort of a task at hand. We're underway, so hopefully we kind of keep progressing through the season.
Jason, thanks. Wish you well for the season.
Jason Baggott with Hugh Brown. No doubt we will be getting the air reaction very, very shortly. But let's try again at Mansfield Park, see if we've got anyone there.
A slight change because we thought the impact that the bench made. For Hawick, we might as well do a mix-up in the commentary booth. So, yeah, I'm here with Hector Patterson, who came off the bench. And firstly, Hector, let's have a talk about the team performance. That was it's a formidable scoreline, 51 points to 13 after coming off the back of a defeat against Enbrackies last weekend. That's some reaction from Hawick.
Yeah, it's really good. We spoke at the start of the week, just up in it from last week, and it was quite poor from us. So we knew Marr a tough side. They always have been in the history that Hawick have had with Marr. So we just knew it'd be a tough one just to stick in. So we got the result in the end.
And then in the first half, it was 18 points to 6 at half time. A couple of really good scores as well. Logan Henry being one of them, and Ronan McKean. But Logan Henry was really, really effective in that first 40 minutes, and it must be great, having that competition. Obviously you're in a kind of different area just now, but that competition at scrum half, he certainly is rubbing off well on this team.
Yeah, it's definitely something you need in the squad. It's he helps me. He knows a lot more than me, so it's good to learn off him. And it's just nice to get someone else off the bench, so I can come on and just sort of try play my game. When it's a bit looser. So.
And what was the message from the squad? Because it was built off a lot of really strong defensive work, and do you know where Marr's pressures were going to come from up front? They were really heavy, in the forwards and on the bench. So what was the message from the coaching team ahead of this game?
As a backline, we sort of knew, them 10, the 10's like he's a good player, so we sort of knew they try to run a lot of things through him, and then we just sort of throughout the game, Marr sort of struggled a bit, I think, like physically and fitness wise. So they you could see holes in them that we could just fly out the line and just take them on. They were running their snaps and stuff, like there was no sort of thing, so we could just fly up and just sort of hit them. So.
And obviously it was, I can't remember the time that he came off the bench, but it wasn't even a full 40 minutes, and to get a hat-trick, that must be, like, personally, it must be terrific.
Yeah, pretty happy. It's didn't do a lot of running to get the tries. I was pretty lucky. I've got so good players around me, so I can just walk them into the end. So it's I just do the easy part. It's the big boys that do the hard part. So I just get to finish them off. So.
The first two, there was a bit of running, maybe not the last one. And obviously you're aligned to the Edinburgh Senior Academy, and you played your kind of first senior rugby here at Hawick.
Yeah.
Will we see a lot of you in a Hawick jersey this year? What's the setup with you this season?
Yeah, I hope so. It's sort of changed a lot different now because there's no Super 6 obviously, so it's I'll be in quite a few environments as I try to get more under 20s games, so hopefully I'll be selected in them, and then I've got Hawick as well, and then potentially the Edinburgh A games if I'm selected, so I'll be in sort of 3 different environments, so just sort of adapt into that and just try to pull the shot on as many times as I can.
And is it good coming back into this environment?
Yeah, it's good. It's all the boys are welcome, so yeah, it's good. I enjoy it.
Well, hopefully we see you in a Hawick jersey more often than not, but well done on the hat-trick and well done on the victory.
Thank you.
This afternoon, and yeah, I'm sure we'll see. We'll keep it up to date with your progress throughout the season, Hector. So
thank you.
Yeah, well done. Thank you very much. Yeah. And also we've got Grant Baird, the Marr captain, who's just having to make his way up to the back of the stands. The scrum half for Marr, who was omnipresent throughout proceedings for his side, led from the front, and just unfortunately for him, his team came off second best today against a very inspired and informed Hawick side this afternoon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Bitterly disappointed with our performance. Compounded errors throughout the game. Discipline wasn't where we needed to be, and we had a kind of game plan that we were going to plan to execute for the game, and we didn't quite get that right. But fair play to Hawick, they came out the blocks firing. They were really good in defence. They shut us down, and when they got their opportunities, they were really, really clinical and put 50 points on us, unfortunately.
Yeah, which is, I think, has surprised everybody. Certainly after last weekend's results as well. But yeah, where do you feel that Marr lost this game today, as opposed to where Hawick potentially won it?
Like I said, I think it was our own errors at time. We compounded knock-ons with penalties and ended up putting ourselves in bad position. You've got guys like Kirk Ford who will take penalties and put them in your corner, and they're a big strong pack. They'll push you about the park, and we just didn't deal with it well enough today. So yeah.
And in the second half, it was probably still quite finely poised. 18 points to 6. You're still in the game at half time. I'm guessing when you come out the second half, looking to try and put those those plans into practice, it just didn't really work today for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We talked about that at half time. We talked about what we were doing poorly, what we needed to do, reiterated the messages that we'd been talking about Tuesday, Thursday, and like I said, we just couldn't kind of put our phases together. A lot of mistakes. Really bitter pill to swallow for us today.
You've got a lot of players in the forward pack and on the bench as well that can cover the front row positions as well.
Yep.
Losing players like Jardine and Grant as well from last week's game. Do you feel that's had an impact on the squad as a whole, or do you feel that it's still a 22-man game?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can't deny that Fraser Grant and Blair Jardine make a massive difference to our squad. They're great players and have been for a number of years, but that it gives guys an opportunity that have been knocking at the door for a number of years now. So I wouldn't say that that's the reason that we lost this game today. The guys that came in, they gave everything, and they'll still be pushing for places come next week as well.
So Hawks next up.
And
back at home as well. So I think Glasgow Hawks are on the end of a defeat against Selkirk this afternoon. So how do Marr prepare for this fixture?
Yeah, we need to pull together. Tuesday, Thursday, we need to learn quickly from the mistakes that we made today, and we need to make Fullerton a fortress and get as many points as we can at home. We'll look forward to welcoming Hawks to Marr next week, and yeah, we need to get it right and get our season back on track.
Well, good luck for the rest of the season. I'm sure we'll see you on various occasions throughout. Obviously, second best this afternoon, but I'm sure Marr of old will be back in no time. And good luck next week against Glasgow Hawks, and thanks for your time.
Thank you very much
this afternoon.
Cheers.
So there we are, Dale Clancy down there talking to both sides in that match. Let's go down to Philip Hogg, and Robin Purdie's got a guest of his own.
Yes, Stuart, thank you. I'm with Bruce Riddell here. Selkirk players. So Bruce, great result first of all. You must be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, really good result. We wanted to, kick back after last week. The league probably hit us a week too early. We wanted to just kind of stamp down a marker that we're here to play this season.
And you got off to a really fast start. The boys looked bang up for it from the get-go.
Yeah, a lot of points to prove. We looked at last week's game and we turned around and said to ourselves, let's not put our heads down, let's not go into our shells, let's come out and actually prove a point. We were a bit annoyed at a few things last week, but at the same point there was a lot of good things to work on, and we just needed to bring them into it.
And it seems ridiculous to say 2 games in, Bruce, but given the nature of this division this season, and with 3 going down, was there almost a sense of must win about this one today?
Every game's a must-win in this league. There's going to be no easy games. Nothing's going to be simple, and we're looking at it week by week. We're not looking at the league as a whole. We're looking week by week. We now boys recover over the weekend. We go into next week and we look ahead.
And you went down the tunnel 13-3 up without the Hogs really firing a shot. What was the message for the second half?
The last 10 minutes was absolutely key of that half. They were peppering our line and we kept them out. That to us was massive. If they got in before half time, they had their donder up. But from our point of view, it was we've played well, but there's space out there. We're running around the park. We need to just keep expansive rugby playing, and we'll find the spaces.
And they did hit back their first and only try straight after time, but there didn't seem to be any panic in your ranks.
No, boys pulled in. It was 1 or 2 boys shot out the line and we got caught. And we openly said, look, we need to start, and that was the rocket that we needed to get going. And I think it was clear to see from the second half that once that happened, the boys did switch on, and we just went for it.
You did indeed kick on it with a fine bonus point win, and there was some outstanding performances today right across the park, yourself included. But I thought Hugo Alderson in particular and Kieran Westlake were particularly impressive.
Yeah, look, we've got some really good boys in that squad, and you've got the likes of Hugo, who is a calming influence, but at the same point he works hard on us forwards to get around the corner. He's keeping us on our toes, so we're not having to do a lot of the thinking. We're just carrying because he's controlling us is where we need to be.
And we on this radio station speak about it often enough. The left boot of Callum Anderson as a forward, when you poke your head up out the melee and you see yourself 50 yards down the paddock, that must be a joy.
Yeah, no, look, Callum, Aaron, Sutty, Nixon, all these boys, they've got a good boot, they've got a good tactical play on them, but it is good from a point of view that you come out of scrum, you look up and you're sitting in there 22.
And next week, Kelso Poinder Park, mouth-watering from a Borders perspective. You guys, after today, you'll head into that in a good place, I would imagine.
Yeah, look, it's about recovery now. We recover over the weekend. We go into Monday, we analyse this game and we look at where we can improve. You know, it's a great game, but there's still a lot of improvement to make out of there, and we take that into Kelso and we really go and try and show what we can do. You know, we're not going to fear any team in this league. We want to go out and play. We want to prove that we're here to play.
Well, you certainly proved that you were here today to play today. Bruce, a fine win here at Philip Hall. Thanks for your time as always. Thank you very much. Now if I could bring in the Glasgow Hawks captain, Paul Cairncross. Thanks, Paul. Cheers. Commiserations, Paul, didn't really go according to plan today.
No, it did not. Full credit to Selkirk. They came out like really wanting to play. They came out playing a good brand of rugby, and we unfortunately just didn't step up, match that, and then better it to get the outcome.
And you were here nice and early. You looked like you're a good solid warm up, but it just seemed the first half you can almost never really got going until maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think the first 20-25 minutes, I'm not sure what it was. We could blame the sun, blame whatever, but you know, Selkirk had to deal with the same things. We just kind of let them say, you know, what have you got after 20 minutes, and then we couldn't overcome that. It's not a good way to start a game either.
Yeah, but it was certainly a good way to start the second half. Almost in the first few seconds, you hit right back after half time with what was a great try. Was there a sense then that you could kick on from there?
Yeah, absolutely. It was great. You know, there was some stern words exchanged in the changing room, because that's not how we want to play. It's not how we want to be. We know we can play better than that when we put our minds to it. So to come out and play fast tempo rugby, score it in the corner, it's kind of almost like a training ground move. It was good. It felt really good. The buzz was there, and I don't know, we never really followed it up.
And next up, Marr at Fullerton. It doesn't really get any easier, but I guess that's the nature of this league this season.
Yeah, definitely. Fullerton is a tough place to go at the best of times, but you know, this week we need to go back, look at ourselves, figure out where we can be better, and take that into next Saturday. It's always a cracking game against Marr, physical, so we'll bring that, and we'll take away the 5 points.
Well, we wish you all the best for that one, Paul. Thanks for joining us, and all the best for the rest of the season as well. Thanks for your time as always. Thank you.
So both sides of the argument there down at Philip Hall. A big win for Selkirk against Glasgow Hawks. So really the table's been up and down today. There's no doubt about that. Curry 27, Melrose 28, Hawick 51, Marr 13, Heriots 34, Edinbrackies 26, Musselburgh 21, Kelso 17, Selkirk 41, Glasgow Hawks 10 and Watsonians 22, Ayr 26. Those were the final results. We'll have a look at the table later on, but we can go back to my side now. Grant Anderson is the head coach of Ayr, and he's talking to Hugh Brown.
Grant, you got 2 wins out of 2, but Watsonians gave you a fright, didn't they?
Yes, they did. I think we struggled to get ourselves out of first or second gear for a while. Our bus arrived late and different things like that, but I'm not going to blame that on that. And then we challenged them a lot at half time, and I think we were honest at half time, and then when we came out after that, we started to look a bit more like ourselves.
You were 15-7 down because Jason Baggott scored 5 penalties. And so what changed at that point for the Ayr team?
I think we just started collectively putting in more effort across the pitch, and then we tidied up our discipline a wee bit. Although our penalties were varied, it wasn't the same thing consistently happening. We know what Baggott does, he's a great player, so we just talked about 1 or 2 different things, and I think our attack functioned a little bit better. I was really delighted with Matt Irwin's performance. He was fantastic, and was, pivotal in our probably comeback there, if you like.
You've managed to retain a lot of your Super 6 players. Watsonians not so many. Do you think that makes a difference? You've got a bigger squad than they've got.
Well, yeah, potentially, but many of those players are injured, and actually, I've spoken a lot on this channel last year. I'll rotate every single game, so the boys know that. So whether you're a club player or a former Bull, they're all on the one team now, so whoever's training the best will play.
Your aim, obviously, is to win the Premiership as you did the National League Division 1 last season. Looking good so far.
We're just happy with the 2 wins, and we'll take it 1 game at a time.
I'm sure you will. What do you make of the playoff situation? Because you could win all your games this season and still have to play another 2 games to win the Premiership.
To be honest, it's the way it was before it went to Super 6, and actually if you were to ask us would we like to play a normal league game or a playoff game, we'd probably tell you a playoff game. Ayr have always been a kind of big game team, and we're happy either way. We just want to be in the mix at the end of the season.
Wish you well for the rest of the season. Great to see you, and well done on the win today.
Thanks so much.
There you are, that's Grant Anderson talking to Hugh Brown over there at Marrside. Well, it was a big win in National 1 today for Jed-Forest against Boroughmuir, 41 points to 33, and it was amazing because last week, of course, Jed-Forest went to Biggar. They had a huge lead, 28 points to 7, and then Biggar came back and pipped them. This week, Jed-Forest were down 26-10. They came back to win 41-33. We want to hear about it, don't we, from Jed-Forest head coach Stuart Johnson.
A really good result at home against a strong Boroughmuir side. 5 points, brilliant. It's kind of a bit of an polar opposite from last week. We were 26-10 down just after half time, and then we came back, and our fitness showed in the last sort of half an hour and scored some really good tries. Lewis Young was outstanding at fullback, making breaks from his own 22. So now look, first win of the season and 5 points, and we've got 7 points from 2 games. So when you looked at the fixture list at the start of the season, it was always going to be a tough start, away to Biggar and then at home to a kind of unknown Boroughmuir side with Super 6 boys in it. But I'll take 7 points for the first 2 weeks, and look, that's a great result against that Boroughmuir side, because they came down here with a strong side after last week and had their Super 6 boys back. So, no, as I say, really happy. Boys are happy, and we'll move on to next week.
And he sounds a little bit hoarse, doesn't he? He's been shouting about down there at Riverside Park. What a great win for Jed-Forest, though. Their first one for a long time against Boroughmuir, who have now lost their first 2 games. The big result, there's been a lot of big results, but how about this one? Curry 27, Melrose 28, bonus point win for Melrose. I think we can join Scott Wight now. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Stuart. So up at Millennium today, I thought the boys were absolutely outstanding in terms of character that we showed. We said last week we weren't far away, but you're not going to come to many tougher places week 2. We've said that all week, that it's easy to turn up week 1 and chuck your hat in the ring, but week 2 you got to back it up. And I thought 1 to 22 boys were absolutely outstanding today. We went through a really tough spell in the first half in terms of cramped on our own line for 15-20 minutes, but look, credit the boys, they've turned up, they just kept digging away, and we've held on at the end there. Curry did have a chance to win with the conversion at the end, hit the post. So game ended 28-27, and look, huge boost for the boys in terms of going into home next week against Watsonians. So, yep. Good result up at Millennium. Cheers,
certainly is. Thank you very much indeed to Scott Wight there. GHA 52, Gala 3 in National 1, Highland 31, Stirling County 62. Stirling County marching on with 2 very big scores indeed. Jed-Forest 41, Boroughmuir 33 in National 1 as well. Peebles 29, Glasgow Accies 35. They got a late penalty to secure a bonus point, a losing bonus point. They also had the try bonus point as well. And Coach Graham Patterson grabbed Ross Brown after the game.
What were your thoughts on the game there, Ross?
I thought it's a funny one, to be honest. We're disappointed to come away with only 2 points. I think we felt like we should have won that game. Obviously going in 21-7 at half time, we felt like we let ourselves down. We had 2 or 3, arguably 4 chances in the first half where we should have taken points and come away with that. But to come back, the boys showed a lot of heart in the second half, and I think some of the Glasgow Accies boys are saying at the end it felt like a loss for them. So yeah, we're unlucky, and I think ultimately we're disappointed, but we'll look ahead to Biggar now for next week.
There is Ross Brown talking to Graham Patterson there here on Rugby Radio. Well, let's go and return to Robin Purdie now at Philip Hogg. My goodness, there's been some results today, haven't there, which has surprised everybody.
Oh, what an afternoon of rugby, Stuart. One in particular serious surprise, let's be honest. That is an absolutely outstanding result for Melrose. They will be cock-a-hoop on that bus journey home, and rightly so. I don't think many people would have seen that coming, and that's no slur on Melrose, let's be honest, but it's more where Curry are, coupled with Melrose's current injury and unavailability list. If I was a bookie, Stuart, I might have given you 12-1 on Melrose today in that 2-horse race. So that's that's how big a shock to me that is. And all credit to Melrose that there will be few better results by anybody, in my opinion, this season. That is outstanding.
And what about Ayr as well? Jason Baggott certainly showing them that they can't afford to give away penalties. He got 5 of them today, kept them in the game. But there again, 4 tries for the bonus point. Ayr march on 26-22 at Marrside against another former Super 6 team. But Ayr showing signs of necessarily just turn up and get 5 points all the time.
No, I think that this was, to all intents and purposes, a super rugby fixture. And yeah, Baggott's as good a marksman as any in the league. He's a high quality goal kicker at what has been a higher level than he's currently playing at. So yeah, Ayr discipline by the sounds of things. If they've given him 5 cracks at goal and he's taken all, that's something they might want to work on. But no, Ayr have gone to one of their hardest assignments of this season, and they've come away with 5 points, Stuart. So, are they going to rack up 60 pointers every single week? At Marrside, at least, they're not. And again, another team that coming back to their home ground in a bus this evening, 5 points in the bag from a tricky assignment. They'll be absolutely delighted, no doubt about it.
They certainly will. Hawick getting 50 points on Marr, who got 40 points on Selkirk, who got 40 points on Glasgow Hawks. Doesn't make sense, does it?
Isn't it? And who cares? To be honest, when there's performances and score lines of this nature, I think this is just shaping up to be at an early stage of great. We've spoken about Ayr potentially being on the board already, but there's going to be a lot to be said about who's going to go down this season. That's for sure. If results today are anything to go by, yeah, I don't think that's. Hawick winning at home's not a shock per se, but I think the margin of victory, it really is something to behold. On any other day, that is the result of the day. It's the performance of the day. It's just that Melrose have almost come up with the unbelievable this afternoon. But yeah, Graham Hogg on what will have been a tough day for him. Personally, I echo what Dale said. The horrendous news coming out of Hawick yesterday, and Hawick have done that family proud this afternoon.
Heriot's 34, Embrackey's 26. So Heriot's, who lost last week, come back to win. Embrackey's, who beat Hawick last week, come back to lose.
Yeah, it's a good game by the sounds of things. Heriot's another 5 points in the bag. They are riding high, but again, Accies, I don't think Accies will be too despondent with a bonus point. Again, another team with one of their hardest assignments of the season, heading to the ground of an ex-Super Series team, albeit not a long bus journey for the Accies this afternoon. But again, yeah, they'll be happy enough, I would have thought, because we've spoken before, they've not inherited that many Super 6 players drifting from the likes of Heriot. So yeah, good. Arguably, sounds like a daft thing to say, but probably a good result for both those teams.
And Musselburgh came back to win. Kelso came back to lose. They've been pipped at the post by 21 points to 17.
Yeah, talking about shocks, that result maybe represents a wee bit of a shock for me. It's a home win at the end of the day. It's a tough place to go, absolutely. But I just thought Kelso would have ridden there on the crest of a wave without, of course, taking Musselburgh for granted, because that's not Kelso's style. But yeah, I thought they might have at least scraped a win today, Kelso. But again, another team that's got a bonus point, and they, 2 games in, they've not had, if you'd offered them 6 points probably from the first 2 games, they might have thought they would have, done it the other way, if that makes sense. So still a good, solid start to the campaign for the Tweedsiders.
Well, let's hear from Neil Hinnigan then, Director of Rugby. He's just filed this report. Come in, Neil.
It was a pretty misty day up at Stony Hill. Kelso travelled up with good spirits after last week's win, and faced a bit of a backlash from a determined Musselburgh side. The game started well for Kelso. From a rolling maul, Bruce McNeil got the dot down in the corner, and Dwayne Patterson added the extras for 7-0 from the touchline. From this point, Musselburgh were pretty much camped in Kelso's 22 for a fairly long period of time, until eventually they were held up over the line and a clearance kick came down the field, and from that resulting line out they ran a move which put Michael Behadenhorst through a gap that opened up like the Red Sea, and he duly took the opportunity well as he rounded the last man to make it into the right hand side of the posts. Danny Owenson added the extras for 7-all. At this point, Kelso were straight back into the game, trying to find their way back into the Musselburgh 22. couple of spilled balls near the Musselburgh line, which was very frustrating. From this, Musselburgh went up the other end of the field and built some beautiful phase play together and an inside pass near the posts to winger Tom Foley, who ran in under the sticks untouched. The conversion was added by Danny Owenson for a 14-7 lead. Kelso came back at this point and built some pressure of their own. They got a penalty near the sticks and Dwayne Patterson popped it over for 14-10. As the time was running towards half-time, Kelso got another opportunity and kicked to the corner. Another rolling maul resulted in another Bruce McNeil try. And same again from Dwayne Patterson with a nice kick to make it 17-14 to Kelso at the break. After half-time, Musselburgh came out and from this point on were the best team by a long, long way. Some very determined play from Musselburgh. Wasn't a spectacle by any means. It was an error-strewn game from both sides, but the home side just wanted it that bit more. With Keith Melbourne in the bin, Kelso had a scrum on their own line, which was their own ball, and the ball squirted out the side of the scrum, and one of the Musselburgh players managed to pick this up and score in the corner. The conversion was added from the corner by Owenson again for 21-17. That was the way the score remained. However, Kelso were held up in the last minute of play over the line. Terry Logan just looked like he maybe got the ball down, but the referee never seen it. And from there, 30 seconds later, it was full time. Full credit to Musselburgh on the result. They were very determined today. Some great defence by the home side and a really deserved victory for them. 1 point for Kelso on the road, losing bonus point, which may come in handy come the end of the season. A disappointing day for Kelso, no doubt about it. Not a great performance, but lick their wounds and back to Pointer for training this week, ready for Selkirk.
OK, thank you to Neil Hinnigan, Director of Rugby at Kelso and Ace reporter as well. Robin, as I say, nearly apart from the Ayr result, everything is kind of wide open.
Yeah, it seems to be, Stuart, and a lot of games either have been closer than we've thought or we've just had complete shocks, and yeah, long may that continue throughout the season. It makes the likes of myself and possibly Dale look a wee bit foolish at times with some of our outlandish predictions, maybe me more so than Dale, but that's the nature of the beast, I guess, and I'm happy to be proven wrong on a weekly basis if we get the level of excitement that we've clearly had this afternoon.
Let's have a look at the table then. So our good colleague Barbara Shield has been putting this all together for us. So it's unofficial, but I'm pretty sure it's accurate because she's brilliant. It means that Ayr and Heriots are at the top of the table with 10 points apiece. In third place with 6, it's Kelso. In fourth with 6, Edinburgh, Accies as well. Then in fifth position, also on 6, we've got Hawick. This is now on points difference as well. After Hawick comes Selkirk in 6th now. 7th, Marr, who were top of the table, of course, last week. They dropped from 1st to 7th. Such is the way things go. 5 points for them. 5 points also for Glasgow Hawks, who are now in 8th position. 9th, Melrose, with that big win today. So they're right off the bottom. In 10th position, Musselburgh on 4. 11th, Watsonians, who have 3, and bringing up the rear at the moment, would you believe, Curry with 2 points. Would you have got that right tonight?
No, not even close. Sure, not in a month of Sundays. We all know Curry are not going to maintain that position for all that long. But yeah, just to come back to Melrose. I mean, what a fillip! What a level of confidence that's going to give them now for the rest of the season with players to, several of what you'd call first team players to come back, and Gav Wood to come back in, and they're potentially going to have the likes of Blythe Lafferty on occasion, etc. And they've got Watsonians at home now, and we'd sort of said pre-season or before the first game last season that if they can pick up 2 or 3 bonus points from these 3 games, then that's maybe not a bad place to be subsequently going into Musselburgh, Selkirk, Glasgow Hawks and Kelso. But they're now looking at this Watsonians game in a completely different light, thinking, hang on a second here, if we can do a job on Watsonians, then we're heading into Musselburgh, Selkirk, Hawks and Kelso very much in a good frame of mind and very much looking up the table rather than down. In fact, they may well be looking from the summit.
Absolutely, and let's have a quick look at next week's fixtures then. Ayr against Musselburgh, Edinburgh Accies against Curry, Hawick play Heriots, Kelso against Selkirk. That will be our commentary match next week. Marr against Glasgow Hawks, and Melrose at home to Watsonians. Pick 6 winners out of that.
So Ayr first up, I will take. Who's the second game you said?
Embrackie's Curry.
Oh, that's a tough one to call. Curry to shade it. Yeah, Curry to shade it.
Okay, Hawick Heriots.
Oh, that's arguably the game of the weekend. The smart money before today would have said Heriots to possibly edge it, but Hawick sticking 50 points on Marr. Too tough to call, Stu. I'll take a draw.
Yeah, take a draw. Kelso Selkirk. Now there's one.
Oh,
after today.
Yeah, that's a beauty, because it could have had a very different look to it if Kelso had done what I thought they would do today, and Glasgow Hawks had nicked it here, which after 10-12 minutes was never realistic. But yeah, that's teed up beautifully. I think home advantage will count, and I think Kelso will be, as Neil said, licking their wounds. So Kelso possibly to shade it, but I'm very much looking forward to see what happens in that one.
And of course, Selkirk won at Point Apart last year, didn't they?
They did. We were there, and they were dead and buried at half time, if memory serves, and they've clawed their way back into it. They dogged their way back into it, and they scored an absolute worldie of a try right at the death by Callum Anderson. Yeah, and if we get served up that kind of fare next Saturday, then we'll be very happy indeed.
Marr against Glasgow Hawks. Both wounded today. Had a great first week.
Both wounded today. Yeah, both are. You're right. So I think the Fullerton factor will come into play, and based on what I've seen today, Hawks would need to improve a lot, which they've certainly got that. They're certainly capable of doing that, but yeah, I fancy Marr to pick up the win at home there.
And fine, of course, there's Melrose Watsonians.
Oh well, yeah, that's again 2-3 weeks ago I said that's an away banker if there is such a thing. But yeah, again, another exceptionally tough game to call. The form book has to suggest Melrose, Stuart, to be honest, and yeah, is it a Scott Wight factor? Who knows what it is? But you see the team on paper of the last 2 weeks, and they shouldn't have got what they've got from those two games. But rugby's not played in paper, as we always say, and just a wonderful result. I can't say enough good things about it, and yeah, I'm tipping Melrose next week.
Okay, well, quickly into National 1, because we're running out of time now. Dundee and Biggar is the big mystery of the day. No one seems to know what's happened in that one, but it'll be on our website later on, rugbyradio.co.uk and bordersrugby.net as well. GHA 52, Gala 3. That was a big result for GHA. Highland 31, Stirling County 62, Jed-Forest 41, Boroughmuir 33, and Peebles 29, Glasgow Accies 35. So the table, again, unofficial, but this is how we see it at the moment, through the eyes of Barbara Shield. National 1 topping the table tonight, GHA on 10 points, Stirling County 10 points, Glasgow Accies 10 points. That's obviously in the order of points difference. And fourth, also on 10 points, Biggar. Fifth with 7 is Jed-Forest. 6th, GHA, they've got 5. 7th with 2 points, Peebles. 8th is Boroughmuir, 9th Highland, and Dundee at the bottom with 10 points. But of course, we're still waiting at that Dundee result at Biggar. So anything can happen there. Next week, there's a Friday match, Friday the 13th. Stirling County at home to Glasgow Accies. That is going to be sensational. Glasgow Accies having a big win today at Peebles, and Stirling County, of course, marching on with an away win at Highland, of course. And Saturday the 14th September next week, Biggar against Peebles, big derby there. Boroughmuir against Dundee. Gala versus Jed-Forest, we'll be there covering that as well. And Highland against GHA. So just finally, your thoughts.
Yeah, it was always going to be tough. I felt for Gala this afternoon. I maybe didn't see it being quite as tough. Brilliant result for Jed. They've had a fantastic start to the season for me, and I think Peebles have done pretty well. They've had two of their toughest games this season as well, and they can look up from here.
Okay, well, thank you for your help today, Robin Purdie, and of course Dale and David Ferguson as well, who were down at Mansfield Park for that big win for Hawick. In National 2, it was Falkirk 40, Berwick 21. Falkirk topped the table. Lasswade 25, Newton Stewart 9, Preston Lodge 29, Gordonians 14, and Stewart's Melville 29, GHK 22 was a final result as well. So Falkirk at the top of the table with 5 points. Of course, they started today in National 1. In second place, Lasswade on points difference. Third, we've got Stumel. Fourth, we've got Preston Lodge. And fifth, we've got GHK. And that's just about it for today. So thanks so much indeed to the team who've been out in force today. Hugh Brown at Myerside, Dale and David at Mansfield Park, Robin Purdie down at Philip Hogg, and of course the backroom staff as well, Colin Black and Barbara Shield and Kelly Riddell doing great things. We'll be back next week. Hope you can join us, same time, 2:30 to 5:30. But from me, Stuart Cameron, thanks for listening and bye for now.